Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome on this Saturday, the first day of February 2020. And I've got my 2020 vision going on right here to the 731st edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, wearing this mask because this says comedy. I'm sure you saw this and just burst out laughing, spat out your morning coffee and Maalox. You saw the eyebrows, the glasses, the Groucho-esque look, the nose, and of course, best part of all, the truly funny part is that this comes with fake snot bubbles, a delightful gift that my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, got me earlier in the week just to wear on today's program, today's Dave's Gone By, not realizing and not knowing how relevant these would be. That's the amazing part. These are brand new. Joyce found them in a joke shop and got them for me. They were like $1 or $2 or $3, worth every penny. Am I right? So she gets them, right? And months ago, she got me this shirt. Now let me come real close to the camera so you can actually see what's on the shirt. Now, of course, it is the comical mustache and glasses. Fine. But this shirt was months ago. It's the look of comedy, if you will. I can tell you're laughing hysterically as I'm saying all this. But this is the weird, messed up part. On today's program, we have someone who's really weird and messed up, Rabbi Saul Solomon, who will be chatting with an expert in comedy, somebody who's written comedy, directed comedy, and has for many years now been teaching and writing about the nature of comedy, what works, what doesn't, when you're writing TV scripts or film scripts. His name is Steve Kaplan, and he's been at it for many years now. Steve Kaplan has also written a couple of books, as I said, about the nature of comedy. And here's the deal. Thanks to my local library, because I couldn't get this earlier, enough to actually buy the thing and have it in time. 2 books have been written by Steve Kaplan about what he does, what he knows, which is comedy. One of them is, the hidden tools of comedy, right? Banana peel, funny, etc. It's basically looking at not just what makes people laugh, because a joke is one thing, but the very nature of creating written, scripted comedy, okay? This is the cover of one book that I got in the library this week. The other book that Steve wrote is this one. So just remember, wife not knowing that Steve Kaplan, this is not a picture of Steve Kaplan, by the way, this is a drawing, or unless he was much, much younger in this image, but wife got these glasses not knowing that I would be getting this book based on the person who is going to be the guest on this show, Steve Kaplan, author of The Comic Hero's Journey, Serious Story Structure for Fabulously Funny Films. So this is the cool thing, and that is why I opened the show, not to get a cheap and easy laugh, because I know you're still giggling. I know this is the funniest thing ever, right? No, but the whole nature, the whole idea of what Steve Kaplan goes into is that now this by itself, by its nature, is not is not funny. It would be funny if, let's say, in the paper chase, John Houseman came in wearing these without explanation. I might have been, but he's going to delve into truly what makes for comedy, what makes for a good script where you follow the comic hero, not so much an anti-hero, but even something of a non-hero. Well, you know what? I'll let Steve Kaplan talk about it with the great Rabbi Saul Solomon, the one, the only, the Jewish. So we have all that to do on Dave's Gone By. Steve Kaplan coming up in about it'll be a while from now because we have other things to do on the show. We have our Today, Yesterday quiz, of course. where we will be talking about February 1st in history. We will have our Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment. We will also have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We'll go inside Broadway for news of the Rialto, including a review of the revival of a very, very good play by Charles Fuller called A Soldier's Play that opened on Broadway a few days ago. So I'll be talking about that and what else. And if there's time, speaking of books, if there is time, we will even delve into story time and The Grumpy Lobster. Yeah. So I can kind of, not too bad. And just so we already have several listeners joining in. We've got Amy from, I think, my high school, and Andy, and Fred from Friendy, and Susanna, and a whole bunch of people have already scrolled and missed. But welcome to the Daverhood. And if I've lost people already, they're sensing that something awful is going to happen. And that is true. We are going to have another My Sick Mind segment. These are terrible, cruel, and awful homemade jokes that I write, usually about some terrible thing that happened, some calamity, some tragedy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've done it again on Dave's Gone By, and I will explain more as soon as we begin the show properly improper.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. There goes the neighborhood. And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island Hearts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Two flamingos in a fruit fight. Every color of day. Whirling around at night.
Yes, there indeed goes the Daverhood. And every once in a while I should sort of explain or re-explain why on earth we would start this morning show that goes from Saturday morning from 9 until noon in the afternoon with a song called Tropical Hot Dog Night by Captain Beefheart. Well, I mean, it's absurd in the first place. The song is deliberately ridiculous and fun and absurd. But the other thing is, we were a night show. When we first started in October of 2002, we went on the air at 11 p.m. on WGBB AM 1240 out in, well, we were in Limerick for about 3 weeks. Then we got shifted to Babylon. Don't need to know that. You just need to know that we were at least a night show. So when I played Tropical Hot Dog Night, whether we were on at 11 or later on at 7 o'clock in the evening, it made a little more sense. But now I even like the sheer absurdity of being on 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time and just starting to, because it is nighttime somewhere. Again, it would be already early afternoon in England, wouldn't it? So what's further east than England? What goes all the way past there if you have some kind of globe? I was terrible in geography. I still am. This guy, let's see. Oh, it's always backwards on the computer. So for you folks, I'm actually pointing with my left hand here. But this doctor. He's kind of east there, and this fill-in. Don't even know. Anyway, by the way, welcome to Jeff and Warhol, of course, and Reggie and Edward, our friend of the neighborhood, who has a play. Since I see your name and since you're tuned in, I'm going to push your play. I will later on anyway, in the Friends of the Neighborhood segment. But Edward Einhorn's play about his, I want to say parents, might have been grandparents, but it's doctors Jane and Alexander. is playing off Broadway for the next couple of weeks. And it's a story very close to him and personal to him. So go see it. And Richard, of course, also a friend of the Daverhood, and of course, John, a lot of the folks who tune in every Saturday to the Dave's Gone By, Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. With me, Dave Lefkowitz. Now, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, is at the gym because staying in shape is so much more important thing what I'm doing. Kind of is, actually. But she will be taking part in more of the show a little later on. So she'll be here for when we do Greeley Crimes and Old Times. And where the hell are my notes? My notes are here. Aha. I almost forgot to grab them. Da-da-da. I've told you what's going to be on the show. It's going to be pretty amazing and excellent. I kind of like to clear my throat, literally and metaphorically, by just talking to start the program, just doing the old Gene Shepherd thing. I've told you folks over the past couple of weeks that at work, my mind-numbing day job, not my mind wasn't numb already for years, but the good part is that I'm able to sit there with headphones in, do what I got to do, and for 99% of the time, nobody bothers me. I get my work done, and I'm listening to whatever. I'm Spotifying. I'm checking out Lana Del Rey's Norman Rockwell album, which is darn good. I've been listening to Taylor Swift, maybe because she's in the ozone with that Netflix documentary, and she's pretty good. I don't like all her stuff, but when she has a good one, she knocks it out of the park. Okay, and I listen to Neil Young and a lot of the old stuff too. And sometimes even some theater stuff, because I'm still a theater geek. But also old-time radio. I was talking about Vic and Sade last few weeks and how great that is. If you've never heard of it, take literally 10.5 minutes out of your life, go to archive.org, and click on any Vic and Sade episode from 1939, 40, 41, 42, and just walk into that absurdist room. You will be amazed at what they were doing back then under the guise of just a basic corn-pone middle American family on the back porch. It is and it isn't. It's remarkable. What a wonderful show. So I've been listening to those and old episodes of I'm Sorry, I'll Read That Again, which is where several of the Monty Python people came out of radio to do for the BBC. And what else happened? And Gene Shepherd. That's what really started it. When I realized that I was going to be working 7-8 hours a day, 5 days a week, sitting there with nothing to do except this kind of physical-ish labor, I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to do this without taking one of the books I'm looking at and working on and taking page 87 and just running it back and forth across my throat to hopefully cut it open and bleed out. I can listen to whatever. And I'm like, what made Gene Shepherd so special? So I've kind of gone off him a little bit because I was listening to him so much for the past 2 months. But there was that reminder of what radio is and what this personal communication is. Because sometimes I get lost a little bit. Sometimes there's the visual, because I'm doing this now on Facebook, and I've got to deal with a camera and not just this. And I don't have a mic in front of me. The computer's picking it up. So I don't have that old-fashioned thing that I had for many years, doing the show on terrestrial radio, on college radio, of mic in front of me, sometimes headphones on, just communicating with that one person out there, even though dozens or hundreds of people might have been listening at any given time. And Shepherd was a reminder of that. Shepherd was that reminder of it isn't video, it isn't a movie, it's not TV, it's still here to there, my voice to your ears, to your imaginations. You might be staring at the computer or you might be washing dishes, what have you. But in the old day, of course, they all stared at the radio, right? Or they were in their car and staring out the windshield, but the mind was just locked in with whoever was talking. Why did I bring this all up? Well, because that's what I'm starting to get back to in the opening part of the show, of just trying to be able to have a conversation with you be as funny as I can, but kind of extemporaneously about all the topics that are in my mind. So big topic this week. Look, there have been several. Although if you read the New York Post online, and I guess in the hard copy too, you would think that the only story this week was not the impeachment of the president, was not a world viral outbreak of another Chinese virus, right? Brexit, which is apparently happening for, I mean, all of this, no. Kobe Bryant, still dead. It honestly reminds me of the Saturday Night Live, it wasn't a skit, it was like a sign-off that Chevy Chase would do of that Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead, reminding us weeks after the fact. And it's like, oh my God. I mean, I feel it's a terrible, sad thing. Kobe Bryant died. He died now. He died instantly, so that's good. And his daughter died. That's a horrible. And other people died, by the way. You know, there were several people in that helicopter, not just a world famous basketball player. But I get it. He was an inspiration. He was idealized and so forth. But every time you click on the post, man, several times a day, the lead story, the lead photograph is something else. Somebody else remembers Kobe, right? You know, his kindergarten teacher's best friend's second child's friend's dog remembers being petted gently by Kobe Bryant. And this is a big, fantastic news story. And it's like, yeah, okay, he's dead. I'm sorry, he's dead. You know who else died this week? First of all, Jack Burns. Who's Jack Burns? Do you remember Burns and Schreiber, the comedy team? Well, not really, they weren't that great, but and Avery Schreiber was the funny one, but he was a straight man to Burns and Schreiber, and he played that annoying guy with yep. Yeah, I mean, he was kind of annoying in that role, but he went on to direct and write sitcom. Look at me talking ill of the dead. But Burns and Schreiber, he also worked with George Carlin. That was the first part of his career. He and George Carlin were a comedy team before they went off and had obviously very different careers. They haven't put out many years later an album of their work. And it was early. It was 1962 or something like that before Carlin really found his muse. And Burns had much more success with Schreiber. Well, he died. He died this week. It's sad. I'm mentioning it. People who did comedy, people who knew him, of course, people probably closer to Hollywood, California, feel a little something. And I say, sorry, sad, boom. Not a week of Jack Burns's parrot dies 3 days later, is interred not next to his body, but in an urn that is being kept on the piano that's being auctioned off that he used to play to relax. I was like, okay. And we also lost, and this is big. This is big as heck. Did you know that Fred Silverman died this week? Fred Silverman was the most important man in commercial television for about a decade. And everybody, and it's one of those things, first of all, did you realize he had still been alive for 25 years? You've heard nothing about Fred Silverman. And this is a man who literally ran, at some point, all three networks, ABC, CBS, NBC. And people sneered under their breath, and he kind of, Fred Silverman, he's the guy who created Jiggle TV, the Battle of the Network Stars, young, beautiful actresses who are top-heavy, bouncing around in swimsuits. Well, there was nothing wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. As a 56-year-old man, I say, yeah. But he's also the guy who gave us All in the Family and all those Norman Lear sitcoms that changed the nature of television comedy. Fred Silverman was part of that too, right? Very important guy. Did you know? Did you kind of glance at it? Maybe if you're a New York Times reader, you look at the obit and, there he is. But in our fragmented culture, mass market culture nowadays, Fred Silverman was out of sight, out of mind. And a blip. This incredibly important fellow who affected, with all due respect, a hell of a lot more people. And the culture, speaking of comedy, culture of comedy, culture of television, for about 20 years. More people than Kobe Bryant, basketball player, will have affected in total, for sure. And yet, what else about Kobe Bryant? The helicopter did this when it should have done that. And I'm not disparaging at all Kobe. I'm probably disparaging the pilot, but it's just story after story after story. So I'm going to put the lid, quite literally and metaphorically, on this Kobe Bryant thing. And I do apologize beforehand, but we have a My Sick Mind segment on today's Dave's Gone By. It'll be coming up in a bit. And I do this. It's the way we cope. It is our mechanism as human beings, or horrible human beings as I am. And I'm going to be telling some jokes about the late and truly great Kobe Bryant. And if you don't want to hear them, you can go do something else for that particular period of time when I'm doing our My Sick Mind segment. I've done it for other people who died and died in horrible ways, or when I was actually physically killing them, because I do have some free time on my hands. So yes, we'll have a My Sick Mind segment on the late Kobe Bryant, and maybe in a day or two, we'll realize that there are other kind of important stories out there, including why is it every virus that comes along, every outbreak story that comes along is the same thing? We should be getting it right by now. We should be anticipating everything by now, if you think about it. Because coronavirus, suddenly, like this little outbreak, this little province somewhere in China, someone gets flu-like symptoms, and it turns out not to be flu, and they don't know what the hell it is. And then, within a week, a few more people, that's how a virus spreads, as an outbreak. And then you figure, it's just in China, and 2 days later, it's in 3 other countries. And literally, the story, not just the virus, but the story of the virus, it was the same with SARS. It was the same with MRSA. It was the same with, remember the killer bee epidemic of the 1970s, I think it was, or 1980, that these Africanized, weaponized bees were going to get us. And they were just in Brazil. Well, they were Africa. And then somehow they made it to Brazil, I think, where there were really these angry, scary bees that were killing off all the more gentle bumble and honey bees. But these bees, and somehow all these bees are going to get to America. And then they found some of these Africanized bees in America. And it was only a matter of time before these bees would sting all the other bees dead and then form these bee gangs that would be shown in bee movies, I guess. And they so and the hives, and we would all be attacked, and we'd all be walking around in these big mesh bee suits. Do you remember this? I'm exaggerating, of course, but I'm not that much exaggerating. And it's the same story of the virus. It starts one way, and then the panic sets in, and the media, the newspapers feed the panic, and it's going to be bees and bees and bees. And now, of course, the irony is that I don't know whatever happened to the weaponized, scary, Africanized bees, but we're craving bees. We're dying for bees because the bees are dying on us, right? The big story over the past 10 or 15 years is that if we lose more and more and more bees, there won't be pollination, there won't be this, the world will essentially end without bees. I know, honestly, I hate bees. I don't know why God couldn't just make more butterflies. They pollinate the same and they don't sting anybody. Just a thought, God. But okay. So there was the killer bee thing, and it followed the same pattern, as I said, of MRSA and then SARS, which, by the way, is a coronavirus of some sort. They both have crowns on their little microscopic microbes or something like that, because that's why they're calling this new one Nova coronavirus. It's not the old coronavirus. They popped open a new bottle of Corona, and they're giving it to all of us. So, and it's amazing that it wasn't even on the radar of most people 2 weeks ago. It was being reported, but I was thinking about it. And then I'm working where I work earlier this week, and there's a woman there with whom I've had a few run-ins. She runs in with everybody, okay? We sometimes get along, we sometimes don't. We find each other infuriating. It happens. But she asked me a favor because she didn't have her key to one of the rooms in this place. And I happen to have my key. I said, here's my key. And she says, oh, good, because this person will make a mess on one of the computers, and I've got to clean up. Okay, fine. Well, I'm probably not a mess, or just opening probably viruses on the computer. And she says, yes, I'm going to have clean off the keyboard, and she comes out with putting on these blue, what are they, latex gloves. And I'm like, gloves? And she said, yeah, this, the coronavirus. I'm like, oh, come on. Oh, come on. I mean, I talked to my wife about this before went on the air, and she said, oh, no, even forgetting coronavirus, you're in this place where you've got all these strangers, all these people from all over the place touching and coughing and spitting and making a mess. And she's absolutely right to Lysol as much as possible and clean and put on gloves. But I'm just thinking, man, and I've ranted about this before, that I am not of the Purell generation. I'm not someone who touches a doorknob and then immediately shake, shake, squish, squish. Oh, I closed the door with the other doorknob, shake, shake, squish, squish. Open a car door, pick up a penny on the ground. Oh, shake, shake, squish, squish. It's like, oh, for gosh sakes, I'm picking up dog crap twice a day, and then I'll wash my hands carefully from our dog when he goes. But it's like I came from a generation that I hated, actually, playing in mud and getting dirty in mud puddles, but at least my generation did. We would touch them, we'd pick things up off the ground, smell them, occasionally lick them. What does a penny taste like? Oh, metallic. Yeah, we do this. And the unlucky ones would die. But the rest of us built up what we call immunities. We got a little sick, or our bodies, when we were teeny, fought off whatever these germs and these viruses and bacteria got into us, and we got healthier and stronger for doing it. And now, because did you ever notice that 50 years ago, nobody died of a peanut allergy? Everybody ate peanuts. You go to the ballpark, if you liked peanuts, you ate peanuts. You had peanut butter. This is great. I was allergic to various things, to corn and milk when I was a kid, and I outgrew them. But maybe 67. But where did peanut allergies come from? And now you can't go to a children's party and have peanuts anywhere near a 2-mile radius, because there's going to be some kid with an allergy. And you can't serve milk because they're going to be lactose intolerant things, and they'll have an outbreak. And you can't serve strawberries. Not that children really like strawberries necessarily, but anything, man, nothing with gluten. What happened to us? We've Purelled ourselves into the point where maybe 50 years from now, when everything will be on computers, so that'll be fine. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to talk to anybody in person. And then we will all be John Travolta in a plastic bubble. We'll just, we want to go somewhere. We roll our bubbles out the door. We go, hey, how you doing, Leroy? Hey, go to the store. And you have one little opening in the bubble where food can come in and excreta can go out. Well, all right, 2 openings. Probably a better idea. And that's how we'll all live, right? Or we'll be in technology, we'll probably create bubble suits. Like we will be in latex from fingertip to toenail and head and everything. And that's how we'll all be, and we won't get any more viruses except our naturally occurring ones in our own body. So we'll all live to 170 and just till our parts break down, or we'll need surgery, but of course you can't get surgery because you can't cut into the bubble. That's where we're going. Maybe I shouldn't be doing my own Gene Shepherd sort of thing, but that's just sometimes where my head kind of goes with these things. And the other big story in the news, speaking of things going viral, was this impeachment farce, this nonsense on both sides. I mean, I look at Mitch McConnell and I'm filled with hatred. I look at Chuck Schumer and Schiff and I'm filled with hatred. They're all just awful, and they're all just bloviating and full of crap, right? Crap in their own bubbles. And they've wasted millions of dollars of American money on this, and time and effort to just, and I don't want to get too deeply into the whole impeachment thing that I've talked about before, that it's payback for what the Republicans did to Clinton. I get it, and to Bill Clinton, not Hillary, to impeaching him over the Monica thing, which was an absolute idiotic calamity for Americans and American politics. So this is payback. This was payback. This was saying the Democrats can try and hijack a president for a certain amount of time also. But there's also a reminder that the Democrats, for all their morality and for all their highfalutin talk and for all their absolute conviction that everything the Republicans and the conservatives is doing are terrible, for all of that, they're basically for the presidency. Everything the Democrats have tried to do, for all their blather, for all their talk, for all the little victories that they gain, they've essentially lost repeatedly. They lost the election in 2016. Right? They lost every time they went after the president's Supreme Court nominees. Right? They put them on trial. They think, we got evidence. We have that. Good luck. Right? Every single time they've gone after, and in this big way, and CNN is trumpeting this, and MSNBC is trumpeting, Rachel Maddow has exclusive info about that. The tax return doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Republicans have actually come out on top each time. They have not come out unscathed. And they have not come out when we just look at the Republican Party and go, oh my God, what horrible people you are. How do you just even live with yourselves in the morning? But sometimes I feel that about the Democrats too. I really, really wonder what they thought they would accomplish with this whole impeachment thing. Because at a certain point, as we know, like a week ago, John Bolton came out with a book, that seemingly revelatory thing of it. Well, in his personal opinion, there was a quid pro quo, and he was there. But still personal opinion, not a smoking gun. He's not going to be called up as a witness anyway. And Dershowitz, who is right about so many things, I know he's anathema now to Democrats and liberals and stuff like that, but Dershowitz gets it. He's like, even if it's true, which is a way of saying nod, nod, wink, wink, it's true. When a lawyer has to go pivoting to even if he did these things, which is a way of winking to the judge, okay, he did it, but legally, this does not rise to the level that requires even impeachment, let alone, well, he's impeached, but removal from office, from sanctions, for legal problems. It doesn't rise to that level. And I have to, from what I know, and I didn't watch the hearings, and I don't really give a crap, it doesn't. It doesn't. Presidents make deals. They say things. And God knows this president says things and tweets things. But to say that this error and lapse in judgment, and President Trump makes one of those every day, several times a day, rises to this level where he has compromised the safety of the United States. No. It was not a removable thing. Dershowitz was right when he realized that, somebody took the aces out of his deck, that the John Bolton book would cause a whole mess, and now they probably want to call other witnesses. He gets up there and he just says, even if Donald Trump had done everything that the Democrats are saying that he did, it does not rise to the level where he should be removed from office or whatever other penalties. And for all that CNN and those commentators can expound and bloviate and run off at the mouth, I just don't see it, right? And that insane partisan hatred that goes back and forth and has poisoned both sides irretrievably, maybe irremediably. It's just, it's just worse now than ever. If Trump says the sky's blue, Democrats are going to say, well, no, it's actually purple because your factories are poisoning it and the coal that you're letting, and they're sort of right about that. I mean, Trump's record on the ecology is horrible. But and it just goes back to the way the Republicans treated Obama, back and forth. The president can do literally zero right in the eyes of the Democrats. If a Democrat somehow gets elected in 2020, then the Republicans will find absolutely nothing that president does good. From the first day, they will trash and excoriate and vehemently try and bring down that side. It's just broken, absolutely broken. It's fun to watch. It's fun to just wring your hands about. And the thing is, that's the thing about impeachment. We're used to it. Because, do you remember, when Nixon was being brought down, rightfully so, when Nixon was taken down, it was the only thing people could talk about for weeks. Granted, it was a time when there were only 3 TV channels and all the newspapers. That was the front page news. Right? If some big star in Hollywood dropped dead or some sports person died in a horrible accident, it made the front page for an afternoon. And then it was back to the president's being impeached. Haldeman takes a stand tomorrow, etc. Right? Remember, impeachment was a thing. Now people just walk around. We're at the point, we're so inured to political BS that presidents have always, well, it's on MSN, I don't want to watch it. Let's watch Nailed It on Netflix instead. Well, it's not a big deal because when they did it to Clinton, that kind of fractured the American psyche too. When we realized that impeachment was just a political grandstanding joke, that you could get a president for cheating on his wife and getting a little bit of DNA schmutz on a girl's dress, that this was somehow a terrible thing for the presidency. And at that point, we just went, oh, it's another thing. It's just another game, just another power play where both sides get to grandstand and scream at each other and come out of hearings in high dudgeon and say, oh, this is the worst day in American history, and we will remember this horrible day like Pearl Harbor. And it's, oh, that's a great, fine day for America where the president came out on top. And we will remember this day as a day when there was a nail in the Democrats' coffin. Oh, man. But good for Americans that our media and our news gathering is so fractured now that we can ignore it. It really doesn't mean anything. It's not even front page news on the Post because it's like, oh, he was impeached, but they didn't get enough votes to bring in the more witnesses. Well, that's a shame because if there's actual legitimate witnesses, they really ought to sort of be called, shouldn't they? But we don't care. It's just another brick in the wall, another spoke in the wheel, as it were. I don't know if that's better or worse, quite honestly. One of the great things about American politics, and when you've lived 56 years, as I have, and you've started to see things, and you've seen patterns and cycles, one of the great things is that America kind of rolls on through everything. President Lincoln shot, dead, after a civil war. New president, time goes on. President Kennedy, shot in a car. A couple of hours, Lyndon Johnson is president. America goes on. Watergate, people lose confidence. They lose whatever faith they had, if any, in politics. People lose once and for all thanks to Watergate. New president, after a year and a half, Ford is out and Carter goes in. America rolls on. Impeachment of Clinton, impeachment of Trump, America rolls on. And America will roll on. And if we get another 4 years of the guy in the White House right now, as miserable as that will be in some ways, and as good as that will be in some other ways, America will roll on. It is. Unless Korea ends it. Unless Kim Jong-un or Il or Bung or Wang presses a button, America goes on. Hopefully, we think. Unless the ecology really does go to hell and some iceberg comes out. Oh, and that's the one other thing I wanted to talk about. Speaking of ecology and things, it's why I love and hate the so-called failing New York Times at the same time. To see that picture in the New York Times a couple of days ago. So you open the New York Times, still the paper of record, still the most important newspaper in the universe, even if they're hemorrhaging money, even if they're incredibly biased, even so forth. So you open, and there's two different stories, right? And one just makes you go, wow. And then it just makes me go, ah, right? So typically American, so typically New York Times. So the first one, you must have seen this. They've taken a new picture, not a nude, well, it is a nude picture, but a new picture of the sun. Did you see that? Spread out, for those of you who still get the hard copy New York Times, spread out a big picture on the page. The sun, which actually looks like a sunflower, because when you get that close to it, we've managed, I guess, to get either better telescopes or lenses and gotten X amount closer to the sun. And when we look at it, it isn't just this big old singular ball of fire that, of course, we can't look at with the naked eye or even sunglasses. But they take this picture, and it's apparently, it is like a beehive. Maybe it's even more intricate if we can get closer another 10, 20 years from now. But for now, you see, it's all these little like fire compartments, and they're incredibly intensely yellow. It's an amazing shot. You just realize it's not one big thing. It's all these little components that are burning at the same time in this magnificent ochre yellow color. And your jaw just drops, and you're like, what an amazing time we live in. What an extraordinary time in science and humanity that we now have this brand new look and idea of the most important thing in our entire universe, the sun. There it is. Honest to God, what will happen is 300 years in the future, we'll get close enough in the sun that some lunatic dictator will destroy the world, not with an H-bomb or a neutron bomb or anything else, but they'll just bring like fire hoses up there and put the sun out. That'll be the big threat. Somebody will come up there with this enormous hose stretching from like the middle of Pakistan up and up and up and up and up. Okay, let it go. And they put out part of the sun over one continent, and everything freezes up and we all die. That can happen. Not yet. But so there's that story and that picture in the Times, and I'm thinking, wow, what an amazing thing. And I didn't see that on the internet anywhere. I'm sure it probably was, but that there was that old thing of you open up a newspaper on a given day, and you don't really know what you'll find. It's there in front of you. So there's this kind of news, there's that kind of news, there's science, there's arts, there's fashion, there's that. It's an extraordinary and still wonderful thing that I hope we never lose. And yet, of course, being the Times, on the same page, on that same day, they had a story about President Trump's plan, like every other president before him, for peace in the Middle East. And I haven't looked into this. I haven't had time to read about it. I haven't had time to see what the plan is. I know that on Fox News they were saying, fairly rightfully, that no other network was covering it because they were all involved in trying to bring Trump down and in the impeachment. And meanwhile, Trump is trying to put together a way to get the Israelis and all their neighbors to get along, or at least have a kind of a détente or something, and deal with the Palestinians and make that okay somehow. But of course, the Times, editorializing from the first word, without not even the guise of objectivity of giving the facts first, and then towards the end sort of saying, well, this is why it may not be the best plan. No, from the very beginning, from the headline even, it's like Trump plan destroys Abbas's Palestinian hopes. And it leaves him no quarter. It's terrible for the Palestinians, the poor, because the Times, of course, being self-hating Jews from the get-go, and has to see it from the question of, Israel is always wrong, Israel's always terrible, there's got to be a two-state solution, and let's push all the Jews into the sea. That's sort of the Times mantra. So they're not accused, I guess, of being run by Jewish people and Jewish media. So the Jewish media turns on itself and says, well, Israel's wrong, and anything that's good for Israel is bad for the Arabs, and therefore it's no good. And then Trump's plan is terrible and unfixable and hurts everybody, and bad Trump, naughty Trump. He comes up with an idea. He wants to help the Middle East. Bad, naughty. So that's why I look at the New York Times and I'm like, oh, wow, sunshine, darkness. So it goes, such it is. You are watching, by the way, both the sunshine and the darkness of the day that's gone by. Facebookio, let me tilt that down a little bit, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. We've been doing it for, oh my God, 17 and a half years now. We did it on terrestrial radio for a bunch of years, college radio, internet radio, and for the past year or 2 or 3, we've been doing them live on Facebook, but then, of course, archiving them at my website, davesgoneby.com, D-A-V as in Victor, davesgoneby.com. And when I say archiving, I mean it. I mean virtually every show that we have ever done from the very beginning is saved. Some of them have some audio problems, a couple of them, and we missed a couple over the years to technical difficulties, but out of the 730 episodes previous to this one, we probably saved about 726 of them. And they're there for free. You can download them. They're MP3s. You can just stream them on your computer if you don't want to download or risk getting anything from the interwebs. It's all there, and with even a separate archive of all the wonderful guests that we have talked to over the years. So what an amazing place to go. Thousands of hours of comedy, music, great talk, silliness, some seriousness, probably a little too much seriousness, but it's all there at your fingertips at davesgoneby.com. We've also, I want to remind you, been uploading our audio to castbox.fm. So if you're specifically looking for podcasts that you can listen to and don't have to watch visually, maybe you want to go to the gym, maybe you're on a plane or a train or something like that, so you want to hear the show, and our shows now are 3.5 hours long sometimes. It's kind of tough to sit and just watch. So you can do that by going to castbox.fm, which is specifically for downloading as podcasts. And we've got the past year or so now uploaded there, just so you can check that out. It's the Dave's Gone By page at castbox.fm. And we've been...
Your egg cream?
Wow.
I made you half of an egg cream.
Yay! Yay! My wife Joyce is back with the very important and exciting news that she has made me half of an egg cream. Does that mean just put syrup in a thing and let's it's half full?
We could
look at this.
Watch.
Dum 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 dum. This is Jewish manna. Wait, I got sip. I go.
Faster. Suck it.
I'm sure you heard that, folks. If I can just have a napkin so that I don't get this.
Sure.
Especially on my white shirt. But this is delicious. Oh my God. If well, everybody who's watching this program knows what the hell
Everybody knows that it's loaded.
An egg cream is a very beautiful thing. There's no egg in it.
No.
I assume maybe back in the day, the people in candy stores and fountain soda shops would hide an egg in an egg cream, and that's why they call it that. But of course, this is look at the purity of that. Chocolate syrup, milk, 2 cents plain, aka seltzer. That's all. That's all you need. Of course, the beauty of an egg cream is the balance. How much syrup, how much milk, how much seltzer. And you always tinker. And the greatness of an egg cream, every Jew knows this. The greatness of an egg cream is that you have to test it, right? So you put in the milk, you say,
I don't test it.
Oh, I test it. Oh my God. And when you test it, you're supposed to take a sip and you drink half the glass.
How does mine rate? How is mine rating? I mix the milk and chocolate first.
See, when I was younger, I used to like more milk and less seltzer.
Yeah.
Now I like it like this with more seltzer
See?
and less milk. So it's almost like a chocolate soda with some milk.
Yeah.
But look at. But when you make it, that's the thing. You keep all the accoutrements next to you, because when you have that first little taste, you finish half of it, and then you have to make more. That is the beauty of an egg cream.
Did you put on your glasses and show them yet?
I opened the show with the special comedy glasses.
Did you make snot bubbles?
Well, they're there. Look.
You gotta blow and make bubbles, you know?
Oh, I didn't see that part. It's got it too. Here, Joyce is referring.
So you put this in your mouth.
Do you want to get on camera?
No, this is the blower. Like,
I beg your pardon?
Put your mouth in there and blow.
I'm going to give the mask a
It's like
blowjob
a
here.
straw.
Okay.
You can hold it. See?
That's snot funny. Okay, it's not funny. Because we will have Steve Kaplan in the Daverhood. And I was telling them that, just by sheer coincidence, this and this appeared the same week.
It's because I have the sixth sense. You don't
You
believe
do.
it?
You do indeed.
Oh, I'm going to start inviting people. I'm sorry. I'm going to sit here on my phone.
Yeah, well, first talk to us. So
Well,
this
I got to do watch party, too. I'm slipping on my job.
and so when the watch party has begun, but I haven't invited anybody.
Oh, I see. Okay, good.
Yeah.
5,000 people to invite.
So, but do you want to say how your week was? Because we also want to do Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Coming up, we have
There
our
was
color.
something I wanted to say on the railroad, and I don't recall what.
Honey, this is almost better like
I
this.
love it.
This is
Oh,
fantastic.
Take out, come here.
Oh, wait, yeah. Yes. Or as Leonard Cohen would say, everybody knows.
Everybody knows that the nose is fake.
By the way, welcome. I didn't do our welcomes. Jeffrey and Jolinda and Deborah and Karen and Matthew and Bert. Oh my God. Someone from the Rogers and Hammerstein organization are watching
Chris,
this.
Bill, look at all these people.
Well, can you read them? Yeah.
Chris, Billy, Christopher, Nanlai, Andy. Nanlai went to grad school with. Hey, Nanlai. James, Joe, Warhol, Kevin, Tim, Joey, Michael, Bruce, Esther, Beth, and Rick.
Is it our Esther, my ancestor?
Yes,
Yay!
it's Hadassah has joined.
Oh, hello. Rabbi Saul Solomon, who will be with us later talking to Steve Kaplan. He's very happy that Hadassah has joined. Hopefully the sisterhood will join as well.
Oh,
See,
John
comedy.
just joined. And
Hello, John.
we have someone whose last name is Tuber. I'm suspicious that he's a potato.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Any others?
Or John just joined in a minute, but that's...
Remember Spud Webb with the basketball player? Maybe not.
Everybody knows.
So, what else do I want to remember? Well, I can also do a quick commercial before we get to Greeley Crimes and Old Times.
I need my noisemakers.
Oh, yeah. I want to remind you
Oh,
that Dave's Gone By is brought to you in part by the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. The Torong family has owned and operated this franchise.
oh, Kevin and Lee just joined.
Who?
Kevin and Lee.
Hello, Kevin and Lee. Minuteman franchise in Hewlett, Long Island, right basically in the same strip mall they've been in for all these years, except they moved 2 doors down.
Mm-hmm.
They're across the street from the big old Petco.
Oh, and Lee just joined.
Hello, Lee. So, why should you patronize, and I patronize everybody, but why should you patronize Hewlett Minuteman Press? Because they do fine quality work, whether you're talking about single-sided copies, black and white or color, double-sided copies on special paper, you're printing something, you're binding something, you're making spiral bound, you're laminating stuff. Maybe you're with a sports team and you want to put logos on uniforms or silk screen stuff. Maybe you want to do banners and flyers and balloons. Maybe you have wedding invitations and gift cards and business cards that you want to make. It's all done for you in a beautiful way.
Oh, and Dorian, Antonia, and Peter joined.
Welcome to all of you at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. And if you tell them Dave sent you, Dave being me.
David,
Yeah.
if you wear that fake nose, that
I
will
am.
protect you from coronavirus.
There you go.
You should just wear that. It will protect you from coronavirus.
The germs go in the snot. See?
and Peter just joined.
Hello, Peter. So, yeah. Tell him this guy sent you, Dave, and you get 10%.
Don't be snotty.
Oh. And she wonders why I get phlegmatic. But wait, I need a noise thing. I made a joke and I need a noise thing.
This one's better. This
Yeah,
is
okay.
best for you.
You keep that one out.
Ooh,
You,
take
this is for Greeley crimes.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, no wonder I'm so phlegmatic.
You don't want that one.
No, I don't want that one. 10% off any job, big or small. Hewlett Minuteman, give them a call. And they're open today until noon, by the way.
Uh-oh.
What?
Peter, we have
Peter,
a rogue Minuteman. Peter says, I use Minuteman in Lindenhurst. Sorry, good luck.
Thank you, Pete. Well, Peter, if you switch to you, I mean, you might lose the money on gas.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a big
Peter,
old job,
don't take the railroad. You'll get sucked out of money.
or if you might, let's say you have a big job, like a $300 job to do.
Yeah, that's true.
If you go to Hewlett Minuteman Press, you'll save $30 by mentioning my name.
David,
So go to Hewlett.
Kathleen, Karen, and Jimmy joined.
Hello, Kathleen, Karen, and Jimmy. And to all of you, see, all these people joining from the watch parties. It's
Because
wonderful.
I'm reading.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's great to have you here. You've picked a
Oh,
wonderful.
and Jimmy, with the weird spelling of the name. I like
Oh,
it.
how? Like Hendrix?
J-I-M-I.
Yeah, like Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Although he tends to watch in a purple haze.
Are you? Are you?
And stand next to my fire.
Oh. Hey,
But at
Joe.
least he's experienced.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. You don't know that.
Wait, oh, now I need it. Oh, machine gun.
Oh, and Joseph and Aldo joined.
Aldo.
Aldo's the name of a shoe store. I wonder if Aldo gets teased a lot because it's the name of a shoe store.
Actually, there's a restaurant in New Jersey that Jonesy always talks about called Aldo's.
Maybe
Those-
it's it.
Yeah, probably. Oh, that'd be amazing. What else? Anyone else?
No, they're joining while I'm inviting.
Because we're coming up 3 minutes on the hour of, can you believe you spent an hour with me already? On Dave's Gone By, the Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. With me, Dave Lefkowitz, my
It's
darling.
hard to, for people who are tracking your lips, I take that off because
Okay.
it's hard to read.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Rick. What?
This is better.
Oh, Paul and Rick joined.
Hello, Paul and Rick. The Facebookio, Podcastio, program of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. This really messes up my face. Look at this.
And I can't.
This is disturbing. It kind of like makes my face go into two different dimensions, which is frightening. So I'm going to take it off. But we've been around since October of 2002, and we're doing our brand new show today.
Oh, Ray joined.
Hello, Ray. I didn't mention the day. It is February 1st, 2020. This is our 700. I'm sorry?
Is it Groundhog Day?
Tomorrow's Groundhog Day. Our 730. As a matter of fact, years ago, I did a comedy bit with my friend Jeff Goodman that you can find on davesgoneby.com, all about Groundhog Day. It's kind of cute. But it's our 731st episode of Dave's Gone By. We're calling it A KAP in honor of our guest in the Daverhood, the comedy writer, director, and expert and educator, Steve Kaplan, who is the author of these two books, The Hidden Tools of Comedy, and better I do it this way, that's better, and The Comic Hero's Journey, all about writing and understanding comedy. Not just how to tell a joke or construct a joke, but how to construct a script where you have a non-hero going through this journey, as it were, to get to another place in a funny way.
You showed the book with your due date and your slip in there.
Oh, yeah, no. Does it have our address
says,
in there?
Yeah. No, it just says it's due 2/3.
Oh, wow. It's too quick. I got to read that. Read more of it. Rabbi Saul has looked it over. So he will be asking the questions when Steve Kaplan, who, by the way, the other thing that...
Alan joined.
Welcome, Alan. Steve Kaplan, he does seminars. You remember... For the past 20, 30 years, although I haven't heard of him recently, there's this guy, Robert McKee, who does screenwriting story structure seminar. He brings people in for a weekend and charges a lot of money. And you get to be with him, and he lectures about story structure and Citizen Kane and backward structure and all that. Well, Steve Kaplan does a similar thing where people are trying to write comedies. And
STEPHEN?
Steve,
Oh, VE.
V, yeah, Steve
K or
Kaplan.
C?
K. Steve Kaplan. And he's going to be doing a couple of them in 2020.
Is he a Kaplan comedy? Says
That's him.
okay.
Yeah, what's his website? Tell us.
I'm just linking him.
Yeah, but tell the people what his website is. If you're
I
going,
know I'm not on his site. I'm saying to the watch party, excellent guest.
Yeah. So anyway, you're going to get a taste of what he does when he does these weekend seminars and teaches people these are the rudiments of telling a comedic story. This is the journey that a non-hero takes in order to get to this other place where they're miserable and they don't even know it. And then they become better people in a better situation 95 minutes later. This is what happens. This is how it goes. So you can get that from the books. You can get that. He's got a lot of stuff online as well. But he will be joining us in about an hour to talk to Rabbi Sal Solomon, also about his career. This is the guy who was the artistic director of the off-Broadway theater company Manhattan Punchline. I don't know if I even mentioned that before. So and when I first started reviewing, when I first came up as a theater critic, Manhattan Punchline was a happening place. It was a place off-Broadway where you could sit down and realize you're going to see something fun, a light comedy. And Rabbi Saul wants to talk to him about that and running a theater company off-Broadway. So it should be a magnificent, I hope, one hopes, conversation coming up on Dave's Gone By Today. Plus, we'll have our Today-Yesterday quiz. I have not seen Cynthia and Jeff yet. I hope they're here because we usually play against them. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, which on this date we are going to Parlin, Colorado.
Oh my goodness.
Parlin, Colorado. Yeah.
Welcome, Eric, Gareth, Jeffrey, and Gwendolyn?
Hello.
I don't know if that's Gwendolyn.
Where, point. Gwydion.
Gwydion?
Gwydion. Hello,
Ooh,
Gwydion.
That's a beautiful name.
Yes.
And Angelique.
What? Oh, I'm getting all these exotic, hot women here.
That's right.
Yeah. So. Okay. So,
What'd
where
you
are
do?
we? Nothing, dear. Nothing at all. How about let's do some? Are you ready for? Or do you want to invite more people? Because I want to do some Greeley crimes.
I can do both. I'm multi-talented.
Great.
I just need my tea because my head is pounding.
Where's your tea bed?
Oh, I just invite Stephanie, our cousin.
Oh, cool. We're going to go right to Greeley Crimes and Old Times, which is a segment that we like to do. And where the heck is it? Oh, here it is.
There's papers over there, Bobby.
No, oh, that's
I
what's
wish
on
I
the
had a
stuff.
pretzel.
A pretzel? Actually, we have.
No, but not the fat ones I like. Okay, go ahead.
So here we go. Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Why don't you explain what Greeley Crimes, because we've been doing this for so long. Oh, okay. Greeley Crimes and Old Times comes out of the newspaper where Joyce and I were living for the past 9 or so years, the Greeley Tribune. Speaking of comedy, this is an actual headline from the Greeley Tribune. I've showed this a few times.
Wait a second.
Yeah. And just wait, keep playing that because, oh, actually, it's a knife, really.
Wait,
it's
wait,
more
I
like the
have-
psycho music would be better.
I have that one.
This was the front page of the Greeley Tribune several months ago, but this is an actual legitimate newspaper, well, fairly legitimate newspaper, that was published in northern Colorado,
Welcome
where
to
Joyce and I were
James and
living.
Cindy, who I called silly.
Cindy and who?
James and Cindy.
Hello, James and
I
Cindy.
called Cindy silly, I'm sorry.
So the Greeley Tribune does a couple of different stories every single week.
I like Stephen Kaplan. And I think
Oh, great. Wonderful. One of those stories is called Cop Log. And these are public domain stories because what, as I'm sure Steve Kaplan will say, the most important thing is truth and human behavior. Yeah.
Eden joined us. We have now been joined
Oh,
into
that's so
Eden.
cool.
We entered into Eden.
I should be wearing a fig leaf, if you know what I'm saying. And I am. So Cop Log, when people call up the local police department in Greeley and Weld County, some of them have very legitimate fears and problems and accidents and heart attacks and crime, but others are calling for not the right reasons necessarily, and then they want police to look into
we have
it.
3 Jameses in a row, and we have a Peter.
You have a Peter?
Yeah,
I married
Peter.
the wrong person. But
Oh, and Larry.
hello, Larry. There was a
Hello,
TV show called
Larry.
Hello, Larry.
No,
So,
no, my name is the bird.
My name is
Remember Larry?
oh,
Hey, Larry.
vocabulary.
Yeah.
Yay. Cop Log is one of the items that appears weekly in the Greeley Tribune. I find it not weekly, but strongly, all about these phone calls that come into Greeley Dispatch. There's another column called Greeley 100 Years Ago, where our friend of the Daverhood, Bert, well, not Bert, Lord, what's his name? Mike Peters.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Bert because someone named Bert just logged. We actually have 2 Berts watching. Hello, which is different from 2 burrs. Can you hand me potato? Thank you. So we have 2 Berts and 2 burrs I'm sorry. Dave's gone by today. Where the hell am I? Oh, 100 years ago, Mike Peters puts this column together where he goes into the newspaper in 1920 and he looks for the goofiest, most nostalgic, most strange stories that were occurring in Greeley, Colorado, way, way back when. And he compiles them, and once a week he does that column. So we mix both of these different stories together in our segment. Ooh, I just burped through the word. In our segment that we like to call Greeley Crimes and Old Times. A little bit of Tom Waits music there to get us going in our Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment. Joyce posted a cute little...
I'm trying, but I'm having trouble because look, whatever you did, it's doing this to my computer.
Well, I don't know what I did. I just put it on Facebook. That's all. You just X that out to
But I won't do it.
What is that?
I
Oh,
don't
there you
know.
go. Anyway, and welcome to Matthew and Bert and Beth and Dorian and Bert number 2. So, and I had a good Bert number 2 this morning. So, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, are you ready, my dear?
It won't let me do any,
No more inviting?
maybe it worked. Okay, look.
Oh, there he is.
Look at him.
Oh, Joyce put up the Cartman as the policeman emoji,
With the nightstick.
respecting his authority. Here we go. Police responded to 11th Avenue. There they are. Ooh, very quick to respond today. For a man wearing...
So Eden Nault said, what am I watching?
Well, Eden, I can't answer that question, and I've been doing it for 17 and a half years. What are you watching? You're watching your life go down in flames, if this is what you're doing on a Saturday morning looking at me.
A variety.
Yeah. Comedy show of surpassing brilliance, hosted by an idiot, signifying nothing. I think that says it. That pretty much explains Dave's Gone By in a nutshell. And you won't find more of a shell or more of a nut than I am. Here we go. So, police responded to a man wearing a yellow ski suit and using a walker while urinating in the street.
I like it.
Yeah, well, yeah. The thing is, that ski suit didn't start out yellow.
Oh, God.
Wait, my noise! I need my noise. Oh, hey, this isn't recording. What's the matter? Hold on, let's start you back up. There we go. Here we go. Thank you for the noise machine. Let's go to old times. Let's go back to 1920, when youngsters in Greeley have a new hero. Unfortunately, his name is Bill Carlisle, and he's a nationally famous train robber. Many news stories tell about how he leaps from his horse to the train, robs the passengers, then leaps back from the train onto the horse. Although the young people don't agree, we hope he is captured soon. Do you think that is really legitimately possible? Like, he jumps on, divests the safe and the people of their
He might be
watches.
like a trick rider. God bless him. I wish I could do that.
But how do you keep the horse?
The horse knows. He's waiting for you.
You think? But he's also on the train. The train is going, isn't he? Or maybe the train stops.
I think, the horse is going running along the train.
Yeah.
Then you go in, you get your stuff, you call the horse, and then he goes.
See, and by 1925, he had the horse driving the getaway car, which made a whole lot more sense.
Cool.
Well, it ran on horsepower. I need my noise!
Drop this.
See, Eden, this is what you're tuned into. You should, this is back from 1920, you should not let your baby sleep with the family dog. Why? Why do you think that you should not do this?
I would hop out onto his horse, skip the station.
Oh, yeah.
There's a discussion about how we could...
About the horse rider in the train person. But we're moving forward already. That's how this show is a locomotive in itself. You should not let your baby sleep with the family dog. Why not? Why do you think not, dear? Why would the paper say not to do this?
Because the dog will give the baby fleas.
No.
No?
Because babies harbor all sorts of microbes, so the dog may get an infection.
Wow.
It's like dog version of coronavirus circa
right.
1920.
Coronavirus.
Oh, man. Oh! Oh!
Do you need a chicken?
No. Because this is exciting. This is thrilling. It's been a while. We have a potato alert. Come on. No, come on, give me some real noise. Is my grogger there? This is not. This is potato news. There we go. Oh, not potato. Sorry, this is a potato alert. Whenever we have a story involving potatoes, we alert you to it because it's terribly important. So we have a potato alert, ladies and gentlemen, from 1920. The Spud Market in Weld County. Oh, is that you sending the happy emojis and the?
No, I'm still inviting people.
Well, thank you to whoever is sending those emojis up. But yes,
Now
probably potatoes. And welcome, by the way, to Tom, who I think was from my old college radio station. I could be wrong on that, but the Spud Market.
That's the recorder. What happened?
Oh, battery low. Screw it.
What about
I know I'm recording anyway. Don't worry about
it. Okay. John has joined.
Welcome, John. The Weld County Spud Market is looking up considerably, according to the marketing departments. One department sold 4 railroad boxes of spuds. Yay! While another has an order for 10 carloads. Is that exciting, babe? Is that unbelievably thrilling?
Oh, somebody's doing the shock face.
We have a carload here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the excitement for the day. Let me make sure to cover this up. Look what came in the mail to old Dave in the Daverhood.
Open it up backward. Oh, yeah.
Behold. Behold! It is. Now, the other thing, Eden, that you need to know about the show is we have long-running punchlines and jokes.
Wendy.
Who did?
Wendy.
Oh, yay. Wendy from Friendly?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to Wendy. Look at this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
And Dwayne,
even he's wearing plastic because of Corona. A brand new potato. Let's look at him closely. He's a little sunburned, as you can see by the top of his. He didn't use enough olive oil peel screen.
Ooh,
honestly, I know, right?
What happened to him?
It hurts my head brain.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, potato. Yeah, but he's a little washed out. His ribbon is kind of on the light side, but he's dark on the face. Look at that. He's got great, wonderful, special eyes. Let's look at his back. He has the tag here and his other angle tags.
How were his
His flippers. One of our older potatoes, some of the stuffing has been coming out of them, and we're really upset about that. We're thinking of going to either the Mayo Clinic or to
Walmart.
NYU Langone and having them look at that. Or Walmart. And look, he has a perfect butt. Look at this. Clean.
He looks great.
Fabulous.
Charles joined.
Welcome to new potato to join all our old potatoes. This is so exciting. What? There's more? No, that couldn't possibly. No. Really? Oh my God. Oh my God. Or as the kids say, OMG. Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder what this could be. I wonder what could be in this box. Inhale the Corona. Again, specially packaged just in case of virus.
Oh my God, he looks like he's like a
what? But behold, look, what do you think it is, Ben? What do you think could be in this bag? It is, I kid you not, I can't open this. Here we go. Sorry about this. Oh, it's another potato. This one, now if you know it, look at the difference. See, people say, why do you have hundreds of potatoes and they're all exactly the same? And I say, no, my friends, they are not. Because behold, one of them is not quite like the other. One of them, see this one has some issues. He's a little ragged. He's a little bit, I like soup. Yeah, not perhaps the brightest. Let's take a look.
It's got a good look. It's tilted hat.
His face is more even, but his head shape. I think he's had some lobotomy work
Surgery.
done. Yeah, some lobal cortex thing going on. His bottom is also not quite even.
Evan joined.
Oh, hello, Evan. He's a nice. Oh, nice fur though. Feel how soft he is.
Whoa, it's like velvet.
Oh my good. Ooh.
He was probably brushed.
Yeah, he's beautifully done. Yeah, see, he's softer than any other potato we've ever had. Feel that.
He's brushed.
He's going to be my sex aid. Yes, he is. No, I'm not. No, but he's got his tag. He's got his anal tags as well, except they're over on this side. Oh, another beautiful potato, ladies. And just when I said that, like a Broadway producer sang.
Arnold joined too, Arnold?
Yeah, and Nancy and Teresa and Tom
and Evan
and all these folks. So ladies and gentlemen, more potatoes.
Matthew.
Matthew, cool. Have joined the Daverhood. This is exciting. This is why we have potato alerts. And remember, be alert. We need more alerts. So we continue on with Greeley Crimes and Old Times.
I'd like some peanuts, but I can't get in the closet.
Why don't you have peanut butter or something? Or let's see. Well, maybe at the end of the segment when we're transitioning, we can go in there and because or wait a minute, folks.
Can you see?
People can kind of see what's in. Can they here? Let's try and do this as carefully as I can without giving away all the dead bodies that we keep in the closet here. There you go. Have fun.
Thank you, honey.
Knock yourself out.
Thank you, Tom.
But let me get back to Greeley Crimes and Old Times here on this edition of Dave's Gone By. So what else do I want to tell you
Is this the band
from
that-
100 years ago?
Oh, yeah, Ben.
Yes, they're in there. And, there's an editorial that was in what was then called the Greeley Tribune-Republican back in 1920. People in the city are, let's get those out. People in the city are working shorter hours now.
Oh, wow.
And the farmer would like that also. We can't have shortened work days if we want the farmers to produce. Here's a simple remedy.
Why not?
Work. Good, hard, honest, faithful service. Not 8 hours a day, but 10 or more.
Okay.
That's why they call it the Greeley Tribune-Republican back
Who's
then.
supposed to work more?
Farmers. For everybody. Everybody needs to work. Yeah, just take those out so that the bag isn't crinkled.
Oh, don't you tell me what to do.
I'm saying, use the tray.
No.
Anyway, where are we?
Give me shade.
The Larimer, what?
I think those Greeley farmers knew my grandpa.
Well, wasn't he the one who played with Harry James?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was a chemist. He worked in a soda fountain.
Oh, yeah.
He
made egg creams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He would say the same thing. Why are you working so little? Work more, work harder.
Somehow, the phrase Arbeit macht frei does not ring well for a Jewish person like me. But anywho. Or remember that character? Well, it was Apu.
I think that was the Jewish side of the family, so.
That was the thing. What do? If you're not working, you're idle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it's not even a Jewish thing. Well, idle, whatever idle hands make the devil's.
Devil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nonsense, stupidity, and garbage, but still.
Then why do you do your show for 10 hours?
This is not work. This is life. If I were paid for this, it would be the best work ever, honestly. But I'm not. So I guess we call it hobby for now. Anyway, welcome to Robert. Robert, you're a great friend of mine. A man, was it Matthew from the radio station back in? Oh, I don't know. Okay. A man called Weld County Dispatch, which is a strange name for a man. There's your Weld County dispatch. He called the police to report. Oh. He was outside in the cold without a jacket and didn't know where he was. He said he was from out of town, that he had frequented a few bars and could not find his way back to the hotel.
David, there's the key.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Downtown Greeley is so small. Was it? If you can't find your way,
Back to the hotel.
Yeah, 5 streets.
Well, they built 2 or 3 hotels down there, and that's just the 8th Avenue one.
There's 2 hotels, and there's one where you go to shoot people.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
A Greeley police officer.
Hold on.
This police officer got on the line to inform dispatchers he just dropped the caller off at his hotel.
Okay.
Turns out, what do you think happened?
The guy was the hotel owner?
No, oh, that's great, but no. And this has actually kind of happened to me. I understand this. I get this. Even though I've never been
he went
drunk.
to the hotel and didn't know his floor? You've done that.
Not quite. Well, I've done that.
What?
I think most people have done that. But no, here's the deal. Police dropped this drunken guy off at his hotel. Turns out he dropped the guy off on the side of the hotel, not the main entrance.
Oh, no.
And the caller didn't recognize the building in his intoxicating haze. But haven't you ever been in a strange city where you don't know where your hotel is and you don't realize it's...
How did they know he was staying in a hotel? Like, which hotel? Maybe he had a key?
Well, he was probably able to say which hotel it was.
Oh.
Probably said, what do they build, a Holiday Inn there, or what's that?
Or maybe they can call the hotel.
Yeah.
And say,
Right, or maybe have his key or something like that. But just the idea that, if you're on the wrong block,
oh, yeah.
and if you're in an alcoholic haze, which he was. But I've been in strange cities, and I'm kind of, what the hell? And I'm literally standing next to it. It's just the wrong side.
That happened to me in Canada. We had a conference.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a convention center, but it looked like a subway station, so it confused me.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that little museums. Mm-hmm. I'm like, where the hell? Oh, it's there. It's behind me. Mm-hmm. I have done that. Sober. Here is a sobering announcement in journalism. The Larimer County Democrat, and there was a Democrat in Larimer County back in the day, in Fort Collins, has been sold, and it will close its doors.
Wow.
With this, the Democratic Party loses its only official organ in Fort Collins.
Oh,
and it wasn't until Bill Clinton was elected that the Democrats had such a prominent organ in power again. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is comedy. Steve Kaplan, you're going to know it. This is comedy right here.
To Henrik.
Hell, welcome. We got such exotic names today. Wow. Angelique and Henrik and Jimmy with a JMI. And who was the other one?
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Angelique.
Well, welcome. Welcome to, yeah, right. From 1920, in Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. The sophomore girls of Greeley High School presented a lively and entertaining...
Weren't they married with 10 kids by then?
They were working in the fields up through junior year, and then they all got married and had 8 babies. It was just like that.
Amazing.
Yeah. But in their spare time, they presented a lively and entertaining play for the Girls Association of the school. The play was titled No Men Wanted and was about 2 bachelor girls in their apartment, which was off limits to men. What?
Is that called the children's hour?
Actually, the absence of straight white men would prefigure the modern off-Broadway movement of 2019.
Wow.
So there you go. Greeley Crimes and Old Times. And check this out.
What?
Okay, there's a question at the end of this for you.
Okay.
Sunday dinner at the Camfield Hotel.
Ooh.
Which you have to come in the front entrance, because if you're coming from the side, you have no idea what the building is. The Camfield Hotel will offer filet of sole, baked duck, roast chicken, prime rib, and all the regular side dishes and desserts.
Okay.
Cost?
$5.
No. I shall repeat the bill of fare.
Mm.
Sole,
Mhm.
duck, chicken,
Mm.
prime rib beef, side dishes and desserts.
Mhm.
How much?
$2.50. One.
$1
That's great.
back in 1920. Is
That's
that,
a
I
good
mean,
deal.
wow. Wow.
They didn't say you get bite-sized versions.
If I had a time machine, I would not stop the killing of Lincoln. I would not stop 9/11 necessarily. I wouldn't kill Hitler. I'd let all that go. I would just go back to the Camfield Hotel circa 1920 and just sit down, take out a dollar bill, and be like, well, I carry like, a dime for a tip.
That's crazy.
And then just be like, keep it coming. Keep it coming. It was like Little America when we went there. Like, keep the food coming.
That's great.
It's fantastic. Advertisement, ladies and gentlemen. It's we are doing something of a commercial show. So here's an advertisement. Men surprise her by purchasing silk underwear for her Christmas.
There you go.
Shaw's Christmas store has the finest in silk gowns, camisoles, and, most importantly, bloomers.
Yeah.
So our bloomers, what were they, big underpants?
Bloomers are like boxer shorts for women.
Cool. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, let's do another new time thing. Oh, remember we talked about the guy who couldn't find his hotel because he was in a stupor?
Mhm.
Speaking of booze,
Mhm.
police responded to a store not on 8th and 8th, but close. 9th and 8th.
Mm.
So we're in the vortex of the Bermuda Triangle of Greeley.
We're going downtown.
Police responded to 9th Street and 8th Avenue for an intoxicated woman
Oh no.
who pulled down her pants
No.
and knocked herself out running into the business's glass door. Imagine this.
She probably thought it was a Tweety.
You think?
Mhm.
Yeah. But why would she go head first into a glass door thinking it's a toilet?
I don't think she wanted to go that fast.
Oh, maybe not.
She was getting ready and she kind of tipped over.
Now, are you ready for the most disgusting, horrible story of the
No.
day on Greeley Crimes
No,
Old
no.
Times, ladies and gentlemen? So, these are all stories, as I said, from the Greeley Tribune that took place either 100 years ago or a week or two ago in Greeley, Colorado.
George, Nancy, Matthew, and Lisa.
Welcome to all of them. So, sometimes, though, we go a little further afield. We go outside Greeley, Colorado for a story that is weird and ridiculous and odd, and in this case, incredibly sick and horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this was carried by the New York Post this week. This is our Greeley Crimes and Old Times elsewhere. So, oh my gosh, I actually have to get that up. That's what he said. I have to read it from here because I forgot to print. Oh, no, I did print this one out. I'm sorry, here it is. This is our elsewhere story in Greeley Crimes and Old Times. This is coming to us from Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
North Carolina?
Rocky Mount, North. What you looking for, babe?
Snack.
Okay, hold on.
I'll just look over here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm doing.
From Rocky Mount, North Carolina, a North Carolina man fatally stabbed his aunt's dog.
Oh God.
And here's the beautiful "and" part.
Yeah.
And used a chainsaw to cut the dead animal in half.
Why?
Officials say. There's not even a time for an ooh. There's just like, well, why? Well, here's the deal. Actually, I don't know if there even is a motive or a why. Well, the why will be explained, but not why he chainsawed the dog in half.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Jonathan Maxey Bullock Jr. There's a Southern name for you. Jonathan Maxey Bullock Jr. of Rocky Mount is facing charges of felony assault, felony animal cruelty, and felony larceny of a dog in the January 24th death of Tigger, a brown bull mastiff. Quote, "This is the worst isolated case of animal cruelty I can recall said Sheriff Calvin Woodard. And are we getting like a Deliverance vibe off this whole story? You got like Jonathan Maxey Bullock Jr. stabbing a dog and sawing it in half. And then Sheriff Calvin says it was something out of a horror movie.
It's horrible.
Bullock's aunt told deputies her 23-year-old nephew, who was spending the night at her home on Friday, told her that Tigger had jumped on a 2-year-old child who was also staying there. But she found no injuries to the kid. The aunt woke up the following morning to find that Tigger was no longer on his leash. She called her nephew and remembered that he had threatened to kill the dog.
Oh my God.
She didn't reach her nephew,
Uh-oh.
so she called the cops.
Good.
They found Tigger nearby in a shallow grave.
Oh my God.
Well, not all of Tigger. They recovered only one half of the dog's body. Investigators determined that Bullock stole Tigger late Friday before beating the dog unconscious and oh no, not in this story. Oh man.
He's mad. Hold him.
Okay, here.
He's very mad.
For this story, the part of Tigger will be played by Uftigo.
No, he's representing all the dogs. He's mad.
Oh, I know. What a sad story.
He wants to stand up and be counted or be held.
Well, he's being held. He's being held right now. Come on, we should get more views for this. It's an adorable dog on the internet. He's not playing piano like a cat. He's just being really, really cute and adorable. Come on, let's get some views. Let's get some likes and love emojis. Come on, keep them coming. No? Wow. How they turn. Oh, well. Anyway.
I give you some lovers. Then I'll take them.
Here we go. So, let's finish the story of Tigger here. Investigators determined that Bullock stole Tigger late Friday before beating the dog unconscious and sawing the animal's body in half so that it would fit into the shallow grave. Which is like, what? How would that help?
You know how big a mastiff is? So they're top and bottom. Mastiffs are your size.
So they saw him this way?
No, in the middle. I once when I was at Fordham,
Yeah.
I saw a guy release a bull mastiff into
Oh no.
whatever we were on
It
the
was a
van
mastiff, yeah.
and he got hit by a car. The dog was the size of a human.
Wow.
They're big.
Yeah. Well, anyway, here's what happened. And by the way, welcome, Cynthia. Stick around because in a while we'll have our Today Yesterday
An hour
quiz.
Too.
Neighbors of Bullock's aunt said they were shocked by the gruesome allegations. Said one, quote, "They need to do something about him." Then you want to talk about this being really like the South or Rocky Mount, North Carolina?
Yeah.
Said one, quote, "They need to do something about him because he ain't right in the head."
Can I tell you?
That's a quote. He ain't right in the head.
So my colleague, she did public health in I guess Virginia, in the outskirts.
Yeah.
And the neighbors had a dog that was barking, so the other neighbor went out and shot it. It's like, boop, problem solved. Huh?
They live different down there. Yes, they do.
Well, you know what? You
What?
gotta there's a lot more to that story that we don't know.
Well,
right?
the crew, I mean, people are aghast at him sawing the dog in half, but he did wait until the dog was either unconscious or dead.
I'm more upset that he stabbed the dog or beat the dog to death.
Yeah, first it said stabbed, and then he said he also beat the dog unconscious.
I think what you need to do is, if you have an animal like that, like when I was in Colorado going to yoga, there was a pit bull loose. You call the animal control and they'll come get it. If you think this dog is violent, instead of attacking it, call animal control. I mean, maybe they would put it to sleep, which is bad, but that's a more humane death.
This is what a sensible, intelligent person will do, not Buford Pusser
No,
Bullock.
I don't think it has anything to do with racially, like your racism.
There's nothing racial. These are white people.
I think what it has to do, regionalism, I think what it has to do is there's more between that aunt and that nephew.
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
Like there's backstory.
Oh,
There's a whole backstory of family violence.
She probably cut his canary in half.
No, but I think
scissors, just.
No, I think there's probably they didn't like the dog. Maybe the dog protects her from people. Maybe a lot of people have violent dogs for protection.
Sure.
It's cheaper than ADT.
Well, are bull mastiffs scary?
Yeah, bull mastiffs are big.
Yeah, well, they're big dogs that are not scary.
They are.
Okay, well, yeah.
Marie joined. Marie, the theater critic.
Oh, welcome to Marie. Oh, how are you doing, Marie? And welcome, by the way, to Cynthia
Wait,
and Jeff.
The noisemaker wants to go along with it. It hears the siren.
Well, no, what we need right now for this music is he ain't right in the head. He did that to a dog.
Oh, here we
What's
go.
he going to do to me? Bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang.
No, but that's true. I mean, he's,
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, he beat, stabbed, and then chainsawed a dog to death. I mean, it's amazing he didn't strangle him, too. It's amazing you can think of like 10 other ways to do things to the dog. You know, he pulled the dog's toenails out one by one, something like that. But that is the story of the week, ladies and gentlemen, here on Greeley Crimes and Old Times, here on Dave's Gone By.
What time do you have to call?
11 o'clock is when we'll have our guest in the neighborhood, Steve Kaplan.
I'll program the number.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Could you do that on your telephone? I have it here for the Rabbi. This would be great. Anyway, we also, as since Cynthia and Jeff are watching, remember you'll be playing Today, Yesterday against them later in the show. That is our quiz. We'll also have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we're going to be going to, where is it? Parlin, Colorado. Who knew there was a Parlin? Parlin, Colorado.
P or H?
P, like Parlin. Like parlez-vous.
Parlin.
Parlin, Colorado. And what else? And I am reminding you and warning you that not only do you want to get the kids out of the room for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, but we will have our My Sick Mind segment of jokes all about the late, great Kobe Bryant, because it's enough. It's time. Enough time has passed. We're going to do some horrible, disgusting jokes that came out of this noggin right here. So I'm going to give you a choice, babe. Should I do the quiz now and Broadway later, or Broadway now and quiz later?
You do what you want.
I like that. Do what I want. Let's do some serious stuff, and then we'll lighten the mood with Steve Kaplan. Well, I mean, we're not going to be deeply, darkly serious, because there's something wonderful and joyful about theater. I've been a theater critic for many, many years, a playwright, actor, director, certainly a theater journalist for a very long time. And that is why I like to go and every week talk about Broadway with ya in a segment that I call Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. I love that music. I love that music is not quite long enough for me to finish a P, but just barely. Anyway, yes, we are going inside Broadway, so I hope you like the theater, or if you're not sure, if theater's never been your thing, that maybe hearing me talk about it and my excitement about talking about Broadway and Broadway news and Broadway shows that I go see will encourage you to do some of that yourself. So, we're going to go inside Broadway. First of all, want to let you know that I saw a Broadway show this past week, the revival.
I put the first number in, right?
Yeah, the bold one.
Okay.
The bold one. Good. It's a revival of a play that was first off Broadway called A Soldier's Play by Charles Fuller. It's being revived by the Roundabout Theater Company at their theater, the American Airlines Theater on Broadway. So it won the Pulitzer Prize, and it's set in the barracks of a black company during World War II in Fort Eel, Louisiana. And here's the deal: their captain, or I'm not their sorry, give me just a moment. It was their sergeant has been killed, presumably murdered, and now there's going to be an investigation, and the authorities send a black man to do the investigation, which is he's a captain. So of course he's going to knock heads with the white captain who's kind of overseeing this black troop, These people who are probably won't be sent to the war, and yet they still might be if they're needed. So it's kind of this company that put there basically because they were a Negro baseball league team. And they're all put together and kind of watched over by the Army in their segregated way. And now their captain, their sergeant has been killed. He's been murdered. And got to figure out who did it. Everybody's assuming, well, it's the South, it's Louisiana. The Klan did it. He was a black man. He probably got drunk, wandered off in the wrong way, said something.
Oversimplification, right?
Well, that's what it happened all the time. So they were just assuming, they want to get her done. There's nothing really to be done. They've got to get some kind of quick investigation done just to welcome Bruce, dot the I's and cross the T's, and get it over with. But the white captain, he really wants to know what the hell happened. He wants to know why somebody under his watch was murdered. And so he resents this black captain coming on the scene, taking over the investigation, because he feels, and I mean, there's a lot of subtlety here, and a lot of the racism of the time and of our time too, of saying, oh, they sent this black guy here because they're covering up. If they sent a white investigator, they'd be doing a real job. But now they're just saying, black guy because they're washing their hands of it. What he doesn't know or realize is that the captain they've sent, Richard Davenport, who was played by Blair Underwood, if you remember him from LA Law. Yeah, women love him. Women think he's just the bee's knees. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, no question. So they sent him, and he is serious as a heart attack. He wants to know what the hell happened.
Of course.
And he also has to comport himself and conduct himself in a way every minute where his fellow blacks respect him, but he also is going to take crap from the whites, and he has to earn their respect.
He doesn't want to be seen as a token or a sellout.
Bingo.
But then he knows he's going to get racism from the whites.
Right.
So he has to, unfortunately, overperform to appeal to the racist whites.
Right. At the same time, he's got to be respected by his, and not just seen as, they weren't using this terminology back then, but as a brother. And it's always so great to see a black man among them. I mean, he's got to be their superior too. Exactly.
Yeah, because anyone in a position of power is a role model for yourself.
But that can be very difficult to be ramrod straight all the time when you're dealing with all these people. So he's got to do that while investigating the death of this. So he's interviewing all the privates there in the thing, and
he's interviewing his privates?
He's interviewing his own privates. But the deal is, it is on some level, and people commented about this. It's your typical procedural military courtroom thing that was written. We're talking about a play.
Angry Men.
Yes, and also even CSI and NCIS and Law and Order. It's going through the rudiments of who was where when this happened, keeping in mind who's telling the truth, who's lying, what really went on, what didn't go on, what's going on under the surface. And we've become overly accustomed to that kind of drama thanks to television, thanks to 26 times a year, new episodes, of English murder mysteries, of this murder mysteries, of Midsummer Murders. So when we see it, we're like...
Isn't it mostly like monologue and like...
No, this is a play. This is a play. And one of the things is that still works. That is still a viable dramatic format. If you have a man interviewing all these people, getting a sense of their characters, getting a sense of what happened, and driving the story forward, because there's an arc here, whodunit. It is at its basic core a whodunit. But what makes it even more special is that it's a whodunit with all these racial underpinnings of what is truly at stake these people.
It's like Cry Beloved Country.
I don't remember that, but what was that about?
Well, it's about, the Cry Beloved Country is about people...
South African, yeah.
Yeah, but people coming into the city from the country and then getting caught up in stuff and being blamed and being... Like, it's this whole thing of, like, legality and crime and blame. And it's really, it's terrific. Yeah.
But I don't denigrate the play in the sense of, it's just a whodunit. It is just a mystery story. I think that keeps it going.
I don't think it's a whodunit. I think I think it's more like a historical why was it done?
That too.
I don't think it's a whodunit like in English cozy mystery. It's a more complicated whodunit.
Oh, that's the whole point.
That's what I.
That's when Charles Fuller wrote this back in
Yes,
1981 or 82. I
Yes.
don't actually have the year in front of me. He was going into the nature, not just of how they were relating to each other, but of the guy who died,
Yeah.
who was on one level
Yeah.
incredibly resentful and angry
Yeah.
of black people who kowtowed
Yeah.
and shuffled and thank you,
Yes.
white
That's
perfect
a
white
token.
man.
That's
Right.
a token.
But at the same time, he would do some of that to keep his gig,
Yeah.
to keep his stars, his stripes, right? But at the same time, he was cruel
Yeah.
and kind of sick,
But it shows you that there's a complexity, right?
Yes.
There's a complexity of character.
which is why the play still works. It worked back then. It worked when they made a movie of it. I think
I
it
saw
was
the movie.
Norman Jewison directed the film. I think way back, unless it was Lumet. One of those. Anyway, it's a good movie with Howard Rollins Jr. and the late Adolph Caesar. Fine, go see the movie, but also go see the play because this is a very good production.
How did the audience receive it?
Oh, it grabs you, or certainly this production
Yeah.
grabs you.
Wow.
Kenny Leon. Now, Kenny Leon is a director who's really now making a name for him. I mean, he's doing, yes, black plays, but he's doing them
So why
really
is that a
well.
problem?
It's not a problem. But in other words, I don't know what Kenny Leon would do with a play that wasn't about a black theme.
Maybe
Right.
he has not the opportunity.
Exactly. Or he's chosen to do these because he has the opportunity to do them, whereas every other play on Broadway is white.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing about Leon is the last play
Isn't
he did.
Broadway called The Great White Way?
Well, you know why it's called that, right? The real reason it's called that because the billboards are so blinding that
Oh.
yeah. And it was like that in the
That's
50s.
not what I think. Honey, look
So-
at your dog.
Oh, can you? So, but
I think in protest of that thing, the story you gave, he's trying to kill himself. You said the story was riveting. You drew the audience.
because the last play that Kenny Leon directed on Broadway 2 seasons ago, or one season, was called American Son. And that play, more than almost any other, has haunted me since I have seen it. And that was the story. It was set in a police station where a mother is waiting to hear word of what happened to her
yes.
son, who was involved in a traffic incident with police. Now, her son is a young black man with an anti-police sticker on
No, it
his
was
car.
Was.
Exactly, was a black man. And so, she's trying to deal with a cop. Her ex-husband is trying to deal with the cops in the station and just trying to get information of what happened to her son. And it was really well directed. It was a darn good play. Really gripping, modern, interesting theater. And Leon has this way of, when there's arguments, when there's scenes with a lot of juice and drama in them, he gets at it. And he does that really, really well. With A Soldier's Play, which is the name of this play by Charles Fuller, he does that again superbly well. My only issue with the play is sometimes he actually brings the play in, a 2-act play with intermission under 2 hours.
Wow.
But I think he rushes things at times, and people talk even faster than I'm talking now. And with my bad ear and such, it can be hard to understand certain actors more than others. But there's a lot of times, and I know he's trying to recreate the camaraderie and the feeling of being in a barracks with these men, and people talk over each other and they talk fast. There's still a point at which they're pushing a little too fast at times. He could take it can go 2 hours and 5 minutes instead of 5 minutes under 2 hours. We'll hang with it and still be perhaps even more riveted by the story. But in other ways, it's a fine production. It's a production that holds you from the first minute basically to the last, both intellectually and as a whodunit.
Wow.
Blair Underwood is terrific. I've never seen him better.
Blair Underwood is awesome.
And everybody, the whole big thing is like, ooh, he opens the second act with his shirt open.
Woo,
So you get
I'm
to see-
going. Where do I get me a ticket?
Topless, well, yeah, you could have come with me.
If he's topless and bottomless, I'm there.
Actually, the funny thing is, the truth of it is, there's other black men in those barracks who have magnificently perfect bodies. Not that I would notice this, but you notice this.
Oh, Joe joined. Joe, your old radio.
Oh,
buddy.
Joe! Hey, Joe!
Hey, Joe.
Who could have called in on New Year's?
Maybe he's with the ladies. Joe's,
That could be. Joe's Joe's getting his calzone zoned, if you know what I'm saying.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting. But okay, so
That's
back
disgusting.
to A Soldier's Play, the 1982 Pulitzer Prize winning play finely directed by Kenny the Young. And I haven't even mentioned David Allen Greer. Remember him from
Yes.
In Living
The
Color?
Wayans brothers, right?
Yeah,
The Wayans
yeah.
brothers stuff, yeah.
Brilliantly
Mhm.
funny comedian. Hell of an actor. I remember seeing him in...
Oh, we saw him in the Shakespeare in the Park and The Tempted, right? Taming of the Shrew.
I don't even remember that.
He was in Taming of the Shrew in Central Park with the one, who's the one who used to be married to Kenneth Branagh?
Yes, the
Yeah.
anti-Israel woman.
Yeah, but that's the,
Emma Thompson.
But we saw her. She was, and he was in the play.
Right. And I saw him in Porgy and Bess, and he was brilliant.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor.
So, and he is terrific here because he gets all.
Yeah.
Because you're not sure if you like this character or immediately hate him, and then you grow to hate him. Then you grow to see what a terrible.
It's hard to play someone that people hate that has a little character that's not just pure hatred.
He does it brilliantly.
He's layered, yeah.
And overall, except for some members of the cast who maybe talk a little too fast and a little don't project enough.
That's probably instruction, right? That's
What do you mean?
That's probably direction. I'm trying to think of the word.
Well, as I said, otherwise, the direction is fabulous. The show is terrific. You should absolutely go see A Soldier's Play on Broadway. Running, it's a limited run because it's a roundabout production. It's at their American Airlines Theater. So it's really easy to get to. It's just off 7th Avenue on West 42nd Street. 3.5 stars for...
From you?
Yeah.
That's it?
What do you mean? That's 3.5 out of 4?
Talked about 3 out of 4. I thought
Not out of 5.
I was going to say the way you spoke of it, I would think it's full.
No, I do a 4-star thing, not a 5-star thing. But the Playboy gives it 6 stars. That's a little much. It's not that great, but it's pretty.
No,
pretty
I think
terrific.
that means the 6 stars are for the general.
Oh,
like the stars of the general.
Yeah.
Or the...
Anyway, so by the way, if you want to know more about A Soldier's Story or every other show running on Broadway, and every show running off Broadway, and every show running off Broadway, you need to get yourself this. Look, the February issue is out of Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway, and off. Here's our cover. West Side Story, of course, going to be opening in a couple of weeks. You got some off-Broadway shows as well. Let's delve into the magazine, shall we? Table of contents, our Broadway season guide of when shows are opening this season, plus shows that are still running from last season, a little map of the Broadway Theater District. We move on to the next page. Look at this. All the Broadway theaters, their addresses, who owns them, how many seats they have, what shows are in them. All on one page. Press agents, the folks who handle all the Broadway shows. If you want to contact an actor or a director or even a producer or designer of these shows, who do you go through? These folks right here. Here's their addresses, their phone numbers, their email addresses, right on this page. And then we get to the serious part of the magazine, our day-by-day Broadway section. All these shows that are currently running, when shows start, previews, open and close chronologically. So, for example, this is February. Well, there's nothing on Broadway. The first thing this month, starting previews on February 7th, the Bob Dylan play that's moving from off-Broadway, Girl from the North Country. He and writing. I saw it off-Broadway at the Public. And they're moving it because it got a really good review in the Times to the Belasco Theater. It starts previews on February 7th. So that's going to be happening. So day by day. Let's take a look at off Broadway too, because you can't find this anywhere else. A chronological listing of every show, starting previews, opening and closing off Broadway. So today is February 1st. Opening today at Walker Space, a play called Stew. Opening also today at the 14th Street Y is a children's play called Three Little Pigs. Starting previews are shows called Where We Stand, Wonder Spark Puppets, and there's also a show closing today called Warriors Don't Cry at the Sheen Center. I don't know this off the top of my head. Nowhere else you can get this information. And then we get to we have a rumors page. I forgot about that. These are shows that may be coming to Broadway in the months and years ahead. Kind of a cool little fun item to read. And now, look at this, the meat of the magazine. Every show on Broadway, everything about it. So I told you about A Soldier's Play. Let's find it in here. Actually, I could go to the index at the back and find it too. I skipped over it accidentally. Come on. Here we go. Remember, all this information about just this one play, we do it for every show on, off, and off Broadway. So you can see it's a drama from 1981, Charles Fuller, Kenny Leon, the designers, all the people in the cast, a little synopsis of the show, some notes about the show, who's producing it, who's the press agent, the production managers, the theater that it's in, the phone number of the theater, and the dates that it's running, every single show. So we move to shows that are already open or that will be opening on Broadway. We even have a guide to regional theater, shows that are playing in New York State this month. What an extraordinary magazine Performing Arts Insider is. How do you get it? Go to performingartsinsider.com. That's how. Performingartsinsider.com. 12 times a year. It is a pricey journal. You know, it's not like People magazine. It's not $4 or $5. But people who pay to get it subscribe and renew over and over again because they know there's no other place they get all this extraordinary information but the pages of Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about Broadway before we bring Rabbi Saul Solomon in to talk to Steve Kaplan. Got to say a farewell to a producer. Margot Lyon passed away, and I'm not lying about this. This past week on Wednesday of a brain aneurysm. She was 75 years old, born in Baltimore, so it's rather appropriate that the biggest hit that she had money in was Hairspray. You know, Good Morning Baltimore. She actually started her life working in politics, and she was working for Robert F. Kennedy. But after he got shot, she got a little sick of politics, surprise. So she got into theater producing. First off Broadway with the original Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune, the Terrence McNally play, the David Mamet play, The Cryptogram, which was actually very good. People don't even remember that one. And then she produced on Broadway that not very good Threepenny Opera with Sting, but she also had money in I Hate Hamlet, The Secret Garden, Jelly's Last Jam, Angels in America, Seven Guitars, Elaine Stritch at Liberty, and she went on to produce 2 Broadway reiterations of Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune. So a big farewell to the producer, Margot Lyon. And just the last thing I want to tell you, because you have another week on this, it's still Broadway week. Buy one full price, get one free. For so many of the shows on Broadway, you can find this information at nycgo.com, NewYorkCityGo.com. And remember that, let's say you're a little flush, so you're trying to save some money, but you have a little extra cash. You can buy a 2-for-1 and then upgrade your seats for $20 a piece to get really, really good orchestra seats to so many of the shows on Broadway. And I believe it is still also Restaurant Week in New York and on Long Island. So what I'm basically saying is treat yourself to a meal and a show. It's going to cost you about half or a little more than half of what it would have 2 weeks ago, just because these two things are coinciding and they want people going out in New York in the middle of winter. The tourists are gone, the New Yorkers are here. Go out, see a show. If the ticket's $140, well, guess what? You get 2 tickets for that price, $70 for a Broadway show. Not too shabby. And you get to get a meal. Let's say you go out for dinner, that meal is now $40 plus tax and tip, when it would have been 60 or 70. It's all there, nycgo.com. Well, I've got to go and get Rabbi Saul Solomon because he's going to be talking comedy with Steve Kaplan right here in the Daverhood in just a moment or two. We're going to get Steve on the phone. So that's Inside Broadway. Please don't go away. Let's hear someone named Andrea Motis found this on the interwebs, doing a song that's perfectly right for what we're about to do with Rabbi Saul and Steve Kaplan. He's funny that way.
Never had nothing, know what to get. That's why I seem to have more than my share. I want a man crazy for me. He's swimming with the tide. When I heard he's feeling his waxing wine, he's a man who works just for a little smile. I'll go there, crazy for me. He's funny that way. I can't see no other place and no better way to live without and let him go to someone again. But why should I leave him? Why should I go? He'll be happy without me. I thought that meant crazy for me. He's funny
Oh, shalom, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And it is my pleasure and my delight to talk about something that is delightful to me, humor and comedy and funniness. And very lucky for me, it's not like I'm talking with Elie Wiesel here. I'm talking to an expert in comedy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a person who has been a script doctor, who has been a playwright, and more also of a director. He's been an artistic director of a comedy theater called Manhattan Punchline in New York. And then since then, he's gone on to work in Hollywood and in California, which are two different things, I guess. And he is the author of these two books, The Hidden Tools of Comedy, which is meaningful to me because I do comedy and people have called me a tool. And then there's The Comic Hero's Journey, which is the more recent book, both of them by Steve Kaplan, who also does seminars and things like that of a comedic nature. So before anything else, please welcome to the Daverhood, Mr. Steve Kaplan. Shalom, Steve.
Shalom, Rabbi. How are you doing?
How else does a Jew answer? You know,
I make a living.
Prostate trouble, eye trouble, you know, elbow. How are you? How are you? Know, you're not that young anymore. Do you have any issues? Any medical problems?
I do not have coronavirus. I can say that absolutely.
I have Manischewitz virus. This is a terrible thing that goes around. But you know what? When I get a Manischewitz virus, I don't whine about it. Get it? That's a little.
I got it.
You did get
Rabbi,
that.
you're
Now,
very funny.
Please explain to folks, though, that there's a difference between like a joke and actual comedy. I wish I could learn that difference, but from your perspective, what is the difference between just be a punchline or making somebody laugh versus the nature of discovering what comedy is?
Well, one of the things that we talk about is the fact that there's a difference between funny and comedy.
Okay.
Funny being whatever makes you laugh. I mean, if there's a baby and you have some keys and you shake the keys at the baby will laugh. But is that comedy? I mean, would Netflix give it millions of dollars to produce it as a series?
I would absolutely do that.
Well, probably Netflix would, but
or Hulu.
Comedy, performance comedy, comedy that you see in movies or television or stand-up, is usually about an ordinary person, a guy or a girl, who lacks some, if not all, the essential skills and tools with which to win, yet never giving up hope. That's the basic equation
Right.
For comedy. So I think the difference is that funny, you can make anybody laugh at anything at any time, but comedy is telling a story that contains both truth, humor, heart, and intellect.
Well, is that why, let's say you have a really, really funny play, like a Neil Simon play, or even a stand-up comedian, and they've got, let's say, a 55-minute set, and they can just kill for about 15, 20 minutes or so, and then there's just going to be this, no matter what you do, there's going to be this lull. They're not going to laugh as hard 25 minutes in as they are 5 minutes in. Is that just what sets in audiences? What happens there?
Well, you can't make somebody laugh continually for hours and hours, because you just exhaust them. And so what needs to happen is that in every set, you need to have different tones, different colors, different modes. So if you, one of my favorite stand-ups of all time was George Carlin, and if you analyze a George Carlin comedy special, there would be his silly stuff. He would always open up with, what makes me angry, and he would just reel off a number of silly observations.
Right. But
then he would intersperse the silly stuff with stuff that is comedic, but might not even make you laugh, because it's about something that he's angry about or passionate about, and the premise is comedic, but the point of it wasn't necessarily to tickle you moment after moment after moment, but to engage you, to enrage you, to...
I know from enraging people. I've done that. Believe me, I've enraged multitudes, actually. More than I've made laugh, quite honestly.
So Rabbi, you have a friend named Dave, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
And Dave is a stand-up comic, right?
Not especially. He's more of a comic writer and personality sort of thing.
Well...
I'm kind of an idiot, yeah.
One of the things that I think people don't understand about comedy is that comedy isn't necessarily trying to make you laugh every second. In fact, the comedy that usually fails is comedy that tries to make you laugh every second.
Okay.
The best comedy is telling you a story that not only amuses you, but moves you and makes you think. One of my favorite sitcoms of all time just ended the other night, The Good Place. And The Good Place was this sitcom that imagined that these 4 humans died and were brought to hell, and they were tortured, but in the course of torturing them, they became better people. And so the head demon in charge of torturing them decided to try to figure out how to make everybody a better person. And it combined low comedy with philosophy, and it was brilliant.
Where was this on TV? When did you see this?
This was last Thursday night. It was ran for 4 seasons. The Good Place with Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, written by Michael Schur.
And this was on regular. It's not a Netflix or a cable.
No, it was broadcast television.
Oh, wow.
And it on a weekly basis, it brought up ethical philosophy and Kant and Hegel and Schopenhauer.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is that in the last episode, in which everybody kind of is moving on to their final reward, it was what comedy is supposed to do. It made you think, it made you feel, as well as making you laugh. So to me, the best comedy is comedy that tries to aspire to being great storytelling as well as fun. All
right, but here's the deal. Okay. We mock sometimes the Hollywood for telling the same thing over and over, and the comedies are all the same, and they all that. Why is it though? People who know these rules and people who understand how to script a comedy still make some lousy comedies. You know, why is it a playwright, even Arthur Miller will write a work of genius and his next play sucks? Why does that happen? Because it happens.
Because it's not a machine. It's not an exact science. It's an art. And you can fail and you can screw up and you can try to do something different and it doesn't work, or sometimes you try to write something as seriously as you can and everybody laughs at it, and then you have to go, yeah, I meant it to be comedy. I think the important thing is that the way I look at it is rather than how come this comedy sucked, isn't it amazing that this movie, this play, this television show worked, because there's so many things that can work against it. So many things can go wrong that when something goes right, it's a miracle.
Miracles I know from. This is, now you're in my wheelhouse, ladies and gentlemen. But here's the question then. So many things can go.
Look at Casablanca. Casablanca was going to be starring, I think, either George Raft or Ronald Reagan. Well, how would that movie have been if they had cast it? They had cast it the way they wanted to. Humphrey Bogart was not their first choice, so it's almost amazing that anything works at all.
Yeah. Well. Here's the other thing. Then you have been asked this a lot of times. What is the one biggest mistake that screenwriters make, that TV writers make when they're writing comedy, and you know where you can predict? Oh, this is where they're going to go wrong. This is why it's not going to be a great movie. It's going to be a movie. What do they make the mistake of?
The biggest mistake is not trusting the audience to care, and not trusting the audience to follow what's going on, not trusting the characters, and trying to think, wouldn't it be funny if? That's the worst way to start a creative sentence. Wouldn't it be funny if we have this happen, or wouldn't it be funny if we do this? Because the biggest mistake is not letting, once you devise the comic premise, the big lie that probably could never happen, or might not, probably wouldn't happen, or impossible to happen, like a guy waking up and it's the same day over and over again, or
But that's one of your favorite movies is Groundhog Day.
I know, but one of the reasons it's one of my favorite movies is because once they set up the big lie, everything else develops organically from character.
Right.
Nothing happens in the movie because somebody thought, hey, wouldn't it be silly if this happened, or this would be funny if that happened. Everything happens in the movie that comes from character. In fact, there in one of the earlier drafts, once Bill Murray discovers that he's living the same day over and over again, he decides to test it out. So he shaves his hair to a mohawk, and he burns half the room, and he paints the other half of the room psychedelic colors, and he destroys his room, and he wakes up the next morning, and Sonny and Cher are singing, and it's the same.
Right.
And they shot it, and they looked at it on the dailies, and they thought to themselves, why would this character do that? Why would this selfish, cynical character shave his head into a mohawk? He would never do that. And so at great expense, they reshot the scene. So all he does is he takes a pencil and he breaks it in half, and he puts one half on the floor and the other half on the nightstand, and he wakes up and the pencil's whole, and he knows it's really happening. Because they realized that the movie would be better if they just developed it from character, as opposed to thinking, what's the next funny thing we can do?
Let's put Bill Murray in a mohawk, that ha 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 laugh. Whereas with this character he's playing, he is the type who would just do something, break the pencil and then wait for it. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So you can look at a film made by your favorite filmmakers, like the Farrelly brothers, and some of their films are great. There's Something About Mary.
Right.
Or some of their films are not so great, like The Three Stooges. And you can look at it and you can see Well, this film is great because, for the most part, I mean, there are some funny things they throw in there because they're the Farrelly brothers. But for the most part, things are happening that makes sense because from the character's point of view, and I believe what they're doing. And then if you look at the Three Stooges, it's like, oh, they did this because they thought this would be funny. And they did this because, oh, that's what the Three Stooges used to do, and they thought that would be funny. And you can see the movies failing or succeeding based upon how well they honored the truth and reality of the character. Because once you've set up in an impossible situation, an unreal situation, you've already got that going for you. In Tropic Thunder, a group of actors are put out into the jungle to make them think that they're really in Vietnam, and the director mistakenly steps on a landmine and gets blown up, and so they're stuck in the jungle and they have to get back. Okay, you've set that up. Now everything else should develop from character as opposed to, well, let's have this funny thing happen, or let's have that funny thing happen.
Okay. Now, in creating, one of the things I noticed in one of the books is that if you follow this pattern of just having character and following them, at one point you write, you don't even necessarily need an antagonist. Whereas most of us were taught that you can't have drama without conflict, that you can't have someone to follow if there's no obstacle in front of them. So what do you mean you don't necessarily need an antagonist?
Well, although there are some comedies that are great and they have villains, for the most part, you don't need somebody who's actively working against your main character, because what's true in life is that we are our own worst enemies, right?
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, we're indecisive. We make mistakes. We then blame somebody else for our own mistakes. We don't need a guy twirling a black mustache to get in our way. One of the things that's clear about just human beings is we get in our own way. So you don't need to create the evil landlord or the bad boyfriend. You don't need to. If you want to, you can. If there's really a call for that, you can. In a sports movie like Dodgeball, you need the bad. You need the evil guy who owns the successful gym because he's going to be your rival. Okay, that's clear. But there is no enemy, there is no antagonist in Groundhog Day, because he's his own worst enemy. There is no antagonist in When Harry Met Sally, because they're getting in their own way. They can't see what's clearly in front of them, that they're meant for each other. So it's the characters themselves that create the conflict. And oftentimes the conflict comes from the impossible situation married to inept characters, like in The Producers.
Greatest movie ever made, The Producers. Like
one of the greatest movies ever made.
Well, what for you is the greatest comedy ever made for you is?
Oh, it changes with the season, but I have to. I always go back to Producers, Groundhog Day, When Harry Met Sally, 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Well, wait a minute. Let me stop you right there. Because when Harry Met Sally, which is a lovely, I actually just saw it recently again. Delightful film, very amusing, not always laugh out loud funny, but incredibly charming and a sweet film. But you want to talk about truth, and you want to talk about being true to a character and to a situation and having something that the audience believes, okay? The most famous scene in that movie, when they're in the deli and Meg or Sally has the orgasm, she fakes the orgasm.
Right.
Not believable for nobody's going to do that in Katz's Delicatessen, no matter how good the pastrami is. It is a fake moment. It's a fake scene. It's more, I've always found it more embarrassing to watch. And one of the low notes in a movie that is otherwise delightful and real. You bought that scene?
Although his mother, sitting at the next table, then says, "I'll have what she's having."
That's a topper. That's a great line. It's a great topper line. But the sequence itself is not something that any normal human being, even this proper prim Sally character, would do. Or she'd do it much more quietly, And just for the Billy Crystal character, Harry, than she would for this whole room of people who are sitting there trying to have a meal. You disagree because your silence is definitely.
I agree. I agree to disagree about that.
Okay.
I think it works because by that time in the film, they have gotten so close to each other. They're such good friends. And remember, the premise of the film is that Billy Crystal starts off by saying, you can't be friends. Boys, men and women can't be friends because they're always have one thing on their mind. But
Right.
one of the things that the film proves is that sometimes the person who you're closest to, who you love, is your best friend.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so by that time, they are so close. They're so intimate in their friendship, not necessarily romantically, that they're able to do what guys would do in a bar. Because you know that in a bar, guys will get loud and go off and make things. And so one of the things, even though you can say, and I'm not going to dispute you, that that probably wouldn't happen in many Cats restaurants. What was truthful about it is how honest they are to each other.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to dispute you on that. I will say that the scene would have worked for me if they were just, still as just friends, platonically, having a meal. She was cooking him a meal in her apartment.
Right.
And they had that conversation, and she did that there. I would have been like, oh, and not realizing perhaps that a neighbor next door would overhear and calls from the window, I'll have what she's having. I mean, that would have been believable. It was just not believable to me in public that way.
But it wouldn't embarrass Billy Crystal to the extent if it wasn't in public. If they did that same exact scene in the privacy of their apartment.
Well, yeah, he would have gotten a hard on and jumped on her, actually. That's what would have happened, quite honestly.
They weren't romantically linked at that point.
Doesn't matter. You're a man. It doesn't matter. Come on.
The whole point of the scene is not only how outrageous she's being, but how embarrassed the man, Billy Crystal is. So it's about her embarrassing him in a friendly way. So that's why I agree to disagree with you. There are things that what I call cringe comedy.
Well, that's Ricky Gervais. That's his whole thing is cringe and Borat. Sacha Baron Cohen, they're into that and The Office, all of it, right?
Well, for me, what I mean by cringe comedy is I used to watch. My wife is a huge I Love Lucy fan. And I used to hate the moments in which she would embarrass herself in a way that I would think, oh, why didn't you just not do that? Or so that kind of comedy would make me cringe. But that's subjective. That's why I start off by saying there's a difference between funny and comedy. For you, the most famous scene in When Harry Met Sally isn't funny. And you're absolutely right. For you, It's not funny, but it works as comedy, meaning that it tells the truth about human beings in a very particular way.
Now we're talking, by the way, with Steve Kaplan, who is, by the way, you can find out more about him and take his seminars and buy his books. First of all, what you want to do is go to his website, kaplancomedy.com, kaplancomedy.com. Now, he's doing these comedy intensives. For those of you on the West Coast, he's doing them in March. He's going to do one in London in April. And then, if you can wait for it, in September, he's coming back to New York. and he's going to be doing one of these.
I'll be in New York in September. So I think it's going to be the second weekend in September, but we have to try to avoid the Jewish holidays.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Don't want to be doing this on Yom Kippur.
I will avoid the Jewish holidays.
Yeah. I mean, my character would say, "How dare you do this on Yom Kippur?" So you're not going to anger me. That's my character.
I know, but on the other hand, your character is doing a podcast on Saturday morning.
Wait, it's Saturday? Oh my! Oh shit! My calendar's all wrong. Oh no! What did I do? Oh yeah. What can I say? Well, this isn't work. If I were being paid, it would be work. But I'm not paid.
That's true.
I do this for nothing. So, but I do this for the joy of talking to experts and people who are so fun and lively and intelligent as Steve Kaplan, the author of The Comic Hero's Journey and the Hidden Tools of Comedy. But when people go to see your seminars, what can they expect there that they don't necessarily get in your videos or in the book? Are there workshops? Do people write a scene and then you work on it and comment on it? Or is it just you talking with film clips? What is it?
Well, it's a combination of solo writing activities, group writing activities. There is a lot. We do show a lot of clips, and I think one of the things that you get that you can't get just from reading the book is the fact that we break down what's happening in the scene, sometimes almost frame by frame, to show what's working, and more importantly, what's not working. What happens in a lot of screenwriting workshops is they'll show scenes from Casablanca, or they'll show scenes from Citizen Kane, and you go and you look at that and you go, well, yeah, that's great. How could I ever do that? Well, one of the things that I like to do is I like to show you scenes from comedies that are not working.
Can you give us an actual specific? I know, not that people aren't going to buy, go into your seminar, but I am curious. What would be a scene in a movie where you can tell just from that scene something is off?
Well, people are not going to know this reference because no one saw the movie, but there's a movie called Alex and Emma with Kate Hudson and Luke Wilson. Okay. And there's the scene in which they meet cute. And what happens in the scene is that he's trying to sweet talk this stenographer into taking dictation for free. So he's the character of the clever, tricky trickster. Okay. And he's the Kaplan, if you will. Okay. Yeah. Con Man, that's a classic character. And he's giving her a spiel, and she's not buying it. And then he faints at her feet. Why? Why? I don't know. Somebody thought, wouldn't it be funny if? And so what I do is that first, when she appears, when the Kate Hudson character appears, I ask people in the workshop, tell me three characteristics. What qualities is she trying to communicate? And they'll say she's cautious, she's professional, she's intelligent. Okay, and then we show a bit of the scene, and the scene in which he's trying to convince her that it's a law office and she's not buying it, and then he faints at her feet. And then I stop the scene again, and I say, okay, ladies, what would you do? And some people will say, well, I'll call for help, or I'll just run away because it's New York and it's weird. And so, and somebody will say, well, I'll do something like this. They'll do something funny. And then I'll say, okay, but if you're cautious and professional and intelligent, would you do that? Then they'll go, well, you're right. No, if I was those three qualities, then I wouldn't do that. And then we run the scene and show what the filmmakers did, in which you see Kate Hudson lift the prone Luke Wilson. She picks up his legs. She carries him into his apartment, and she's cracking. She's making wisecracks all the time. And then she's going to leave, and then he gets up and says, "Okay, I haven't really fainted."
No wonder that movie sucked. Yeah.
And so what I point out the fact that instead of having a real conversation and a real interaction, somebody thought, wouldn't it be funny if we do this silly action, because people are afraid to not have audiences laugh. They're afraid for that. But if you study film and screenwriting, you realize you can't make audiences laugh if they don't know who the characters are and they don't believe in them. So first you have to create believable characters in a recognizable situation. It doesn't have to be a believable situation, but you just have to recognize what the situation is and then let it develop organically and honestly. So that's an example where I show how simply being dishonest, not to the premise, but to the characters themselves, how it doesn't help the comedy. It doesn't help tell the story comedically. Although somebody must have thought, well, it's funny to see him faint and then see her kind of carry him into his apartment as though he was a wheelbarrow.
But it's funny, but it's not comedy. It's funny for the moment, but it works against. Somebody must have thought it was funny. Somebody must have thought it was funny, but that's the whole point. Yeah. Funny is subjective. You laugh at a joke. I don't laugh at the joke. Does that mean that we should have a vote? No. What we should be focused on is, are we telling the truth about those characters at that moment? Yeah. But also, there tends to be at a certain level, even though this moment is funny, and people have outliers of, oh, I love that film that all the other critics hated, and that the critics think is terrible. But at a certain level, there's also a canon, a pantheon, where a vast majority of people will say, oh, The Producers is great. Oh, Groundhog Day. Oh, Some Like It Hot. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's a kind of, and which really actually isn't. I mean, it is about character, but that does go for the jokes, and it's still hysterically funny. But there's, at a certain point, there is also some consensus as to what are really terrific, wonderful comedies. Duck Soup, for example. Right. Although Duck Soup was a big failure when it first came out. Well, because it's wartime, or it was going to be wartime, but again. Over the years, the consensus was that people didn't recognize it at the time. Well, I'm not a big. I guess I'm not a big proponent of consensus. I mean, if you look at the 100 funniest films, the AFI list of 100 biggest laughs. Yeah. One of the films, kind of down in the 90s, I think, is this Jerry Lewis film. Oh God, Hardly Working? No, I think it's the one where he's working in a house full of women, or ladies' man, or something like that, and it's terrible. It's well, the French voters love it. It's painful for me. It's painful to watch. Some people think it's funny, but I'm okay with you thinking something is funny that I don't think is funny, because funny is subjective. Right. So my point is always to try to teach writers, don't go for funny, tell the truth. Right. People will say to me, but it's, the truth can be boring. And I say, think about your family at Thanksgiving dinner, or around the table at Passover, and it's your drunk uncle, and it's your annoying aunt, and it's your miserable cousins, and think how funny that situation is. Because when you and your cousins get around to talk about it, you're always laughing about your uncles and your aunts and your parents. People are comic. People are funny. That's the way they're built. So if you tell the truth about them, right, you're halfway there. Now, not all the way there, but you're halfway there. Let me ask Steve Kaplan. We've been talking so much about movies and story structure and screenplays, but you started more with theater, and you were the co-founder and for a while the artistic director of a theater company called Manhattan Punchline. So tell us a little bit, please, of how that even occurred back in the day when there wasn't even, Theater Row was falling apart. There was nothing going on Broadway. It was before Disney and Giuliani moved in. So how on earth did you suddenly create a theater company?
Well, it wasn't just me. I had two friends who were actors, Mitch McGuire and Steve Kaplan, and I directed Mitch in a play, a really terrible play. He was okay in it, but the play was pretty terrible. But they wanted to start a theater company, and they wanted me to be part of it. And so we got together one day at Curtain Up, which is this restaurant at the base of Manhattan Plaza.
Yeah.
And I pitched them a theater company that was completely devoted to comedy. Because at that time, in the late 70s, theater people took themselves very, very seriously. You went to a small theater off of Broadway, and you were probably going to see a bunch of actors in black turtlenecks acting out in obscure abstract play in which there were no characters' names, just like he, she, the pharmacist, the man with the big pain in his head, and everybody took themselves very seriously. And I wanted to start a theater company that was completely devoted to comedy, because from an early age, I was a comedy nerd. I loved Bob Hope and the road movies and George Burns and Gracie Allen. One of my most embarrassing moments was I was at a dance at my Hebrew center, my Jewish center, and there was a band, and they asked for songs, recommend a song that we play. And I went up to the band and I said, could you play Thanks for the Memory? Because I was such a big Bob Hope fan. And they looked at me like I was strange, and they were right, because I was a very strange young teenager. So I wanted to start a theater company that was completely devoted to comedy. And I convinced them to do that. Luckily, they came up with the name, because New York Ha Ha Theater would not have been as good.
No, definitely not.
And so we started in 1979, and we ran it for 13 years, which was more times than most convicted murderers get, I'd like to say. And a lot of great people came through it.
Right.
Young David Crane, who went on to do Friends.
Right.
We had actors like Oliver Platt and Mercedes Ruehl, who went on to win Tonys.
David Ives was a playwright at your...
David Ives, yes. David Ives was one of the playwrights who used to be in our annual one-act play festival. David used to say I was making him famous at 15 minutes at a time. And so a lot of great people came out of it.
So let me ask you the question, though. If you're so many of these, we were talking earlier in the show about the Roundabout Theater, and then there's places like Second Stage where they start small, or the Vineyard, and then they kind of grow. Hopefully they grow, and then sometimes they become bigger, and they become serious off-Broadway or even Broadway theaters. But after 13 years, why stop? Why call it quits?
Well, we didn't call it quits as much as we unplugged us from life support. And that was the time in which, when we started, there was this organization called New York State Council on the Arts, and they used to give grants to theater companies like us, and it helped us thrive. And the year before we stopped, that was, I think, Black Tuesday, when Wall Street went bust at the end of the 80s. And New York State Council on the Arts cut our funding by like about 75-80%. And so we never really had a great business structure. We had great art, and we did great work, and we developed great people.
What was your favorite play? Can I ask, what of all the shows that you put, whether one act or full length, your favorite show that you did at Manhattan Punchline?
Well, I would have to say it was one of the Peter Tolan shows. Peter Tolan, who went on to be the executive producer of the Larry Sanders Show.
Oh my!
And Peter Tolan had a great show. It was an evening with Wallem and Tolan. It's hard to pick out one because they're like my children. David Ives had an amazing, a series of amazing plays. Like Sure Thing, which is kind of
that
like,
went into all in the timing later on. He developed those.
most of the plays of from David's All in the Timing were originally produced at the Punchline, and I was a huge fan of Kaufman and Hart, and I guess my favorite play was June Moon.
About the songwriters,
Ring Lardner, Kaufman. It was a 3-act play with great build up, a huge third act. But I also, we also premiered plays like Sleeping Beauty, in which a woman says, I wonder whatever happened to that guy who I knew in 3rd grade, or that guy I saw on the bus. And by the end of the play, there were 50 guys there who were all saying, I love you, Louise. I love you, Louise. I mean, it was a great time. And we had, like I said, plays by Peter Tolan, David Crane, David Ives, Nathan Lane was in our late night show. He was part of a comedy team at first.
Wow.
Michael Patrick King, who went on to do Sex and the City. He was in our in-house improv group called Broadway Local.
That's also a great name, Broadway Local.
Right.
But let me ask you then, okay, so you're doing this
we had to stop because we ran out of money.
So after 13 years, though, so this was essentially your full-time job, right? You were, as artistic director, you made enough to live, to eat, what?
A full-time job with a part-time salary.
Okay, that's New York. That's the arts. That's what it is. But was it scary then to give that up, or were you able then to just go across the country and people were calling you, hey, stop doing this stuff in New York where there's no money. We need you to punch up this script. We need you out here to write script. Or what happened after? What did you do?
It was scary but I realized that I didn't want to end up like some of the people I knew who were still trying to produce off Broadway theaters in their living rooms, and I knew those people, and they didn't have clean clothes, but they were still hanging around the scene, and I couldn't be one of those people. So when I knew that the Punchline had to fold, I went out to Los Angeles without a job.
Wow.
And I just thought, comedy. Some people there must be somebody out there who could see the value of that. And I came out to Los Angeles and kind of bounced around for a couple of months, and I finally convinced an old college friend who was working at HBO at the time that I could do something similar to what I was doing in New York, and so we started the HBO New Writers Project, which went for a couple of years until HBO realized, hey, we don't need to do that. The writers are coming to us. But then out of the New Writers Project came the HBO Workspace, which was kind of a live venue in Los Angeles that was helping them pick acts for the comedy festival they were doing in Aspen every year.
Oh wow!
And now there are several venues in Los Angeles that do that. The Comedy Central stage, I believe, Showtime had a venue for a little bit, and from there, a guy came up to me while I was doing that. And said, I work for Robert McKee, the guy who wrote Story and goes all over the world. And he says, I think you could do for comedy what he does for stories. And I went, really? And so we did it we offered a workshop one weekend in 2004, and it kind of took off from there. And so I started doing workshops in London, in Singapore.
Whoa.
Australia asked me out. So I've been around the world doing this.
Well, let me ask you, Steve Kaplan. The one sort of missing piece of the puzzle is you went out to LA. You were in New York. You were directing. You knew comedy backwards and forwards, and you teach, and you're an incredible expert in comedy. Where, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but where is the great movie that you wrote? Or are you one of those people who can dissect and can point out what's good and bad in other people's writing, but you never got it together to write the great American comic screenplay?
I'm not a writer. I'm a director and a teacher. So I can point to people who I've taught who've written great stuff, but that's not what I do.
Are you still directing? Are you?
I'm not. I've done a couple of small plays in Los Angeles, but that's not what I spend my time on. What I basically do is, besides doing workshops, I'm doing a workshop in March 7th and 8th in Los Angeles, April 25th and 26th in London. I was going to go to Taiwan, but they canceled it because of the coronavirus. So that's the good news, bad news. Bad news, they canceled my gig in Taipei City. Good news, I don't have the coronavirus.
This for now. It's a virus. It spreads. Oh, hold on one moment, please. We just have a little technical difficulty here. By the way, we're talking with Steve Kaplan, who is clean and healthy. Have you been tested? Are you absolutely sure you don't have the coronavirus?
I'm 98% sure. No one can ever be 100% sure of anything, but I'm 98% sure. So I guess the answer is that not being a script writer, but what I do is I work with a lot of producers and writers around the world in working on story structure and scripts, and I'm a script consultant.
Do you get credit? Because you don't have a lot of credits on IMDb of movies that have come out. Was like, oh, I worked on that, or is it sort of all sub rosa, and you're just doing it kind of, under the radar, as it were?
I'm working for producers or for writers directly, and yeah. I'm not working as a co-writer. I'm working as an analyst.
Okay. So can you point specifically, I mean, if you can do this, like to a movie that you improved, like you read the script to something and you saw something in there, and when you saw the movie on screen or on TV, it was like, ha 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 ha, I found that.
Well, I can't do that for most of them because there's confidentiality agreements. But when I was brought out to Australia, I worked as a mentor on several Australian comedy projects, and one of them became Please Like Me with Josh Thomas, which then was brought over to the States and had, I think it was on Acorn or Hulu, had like a four season run. So I helped do that.
All right. Not too shabby at all for Steve Kaplan, who, by the way, has the website kaplancomedy.com. This is a place we'll also lead you to where you can buy, like on Amazon and Goodreads and stuff, where his 2 books, The Comic Hero's Journey.
Although you can buy them directly from me, and I'll autograph them.
Oh,
there you go.
This is
there
good.
You go.
So right from your website, people can go to kaplancomedy.com, order them from you, and you'll put your Jane Hancock on there?
I will put my Jane or John Hancock, depending upon which kind of binary choice you like.
We just posted that on the watch party thing, so people can click right there. And so let me ask you 1 or 2 more quick questions for Steve Kaplan here. So what is a comedy movie that breaks most of these rules, but that you still love, that still works? Maybe like Airplane or something like that, or
exactly like Airplane. Although Airplane still tells a story about characters that you kind of, despite everything, you care about. You care about that pilot. Even though he's so ridiculous that people are committing suicide rather than listening to this story. But those kind of comedies where you're simply as good as your last joke, those are hard to pull off.
Very.
Like Airplane. So you take a movie like Scary Movie. And the first time, it's kind of clever the way that they're parodying all the movie genres and all the different kind of scary movies that there been. But by the time you get to Scary Movie 4, it's really only as good as each passing joke. And if those jokes aren't good, and they weren't, you've got nothing. There's nothing there. So those are the hardest movies to pull off, where it's simply a long form cartoon that has no story, no structure, no characters, but jokes. And if the jokes aren't good, then the movie isn't good. And believe me, Scary Movie 4 is not that good.
I couldn't even tell the difference between Scary Movie 3 and Scary Movie 4. Nightmare on Elm Street 8. To me, they're basically the same.
I mean, there are plenty of movies that don't that break these rules, and they're not. And really, I don't call them the hidden rules of comedy. I call them the hidden tools of comedy, because like any tool, you can use a tool to make something good or screw something up. So what I would say is that if you want to see how character and story can combine to make great comedy, look at most Pixar movies. And then if you want to see, well, how does it happen? What happens when it screws up? Take a look at a movie like The Secret Lives of Pets, where basically you have noise for about 2 hours without really telling you a story worth telling or characters worth following.
Well, yeah. Well, we personally, my friend Dave, he owns a dog, and he loves The Secret Life of Pets, the dog favorite movie of all time. But
I loved the first 15 minutes.
Right.
But then because that was The Secret Life of Pets, the first 15 minutes. But after that, they decided, well, wouldn't it be funny if we had a revolutionary rabbit with a gecko and a pig?
Right.
And you can't tell me that story development made Secret Life of Pets better.
You have explained why when I watched that movie, I thought, oh, this is gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be such a great movie. And then by about half an hour in, I was just kind of slogging through. It wasn't painful.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. You are absolutely right about that film. I mean, it explains several other films of that ilk, whether they're animated or not, where, okay, this is watchable, but what happened? I was really getting into this, and now it's just like...
Now it's just noise and busyness, and let's throw things up against the screen and see what sticks, and oh, the kids will love this. The kids will love this.
The kids do love it. I mean, they make a sequel, so they're also not so stupid for making movies like that, too. But in terms of art, in terms of craft...
Well, sometimes people will say, but those movies make a lot of money, and I'll say... And McDonald's makes a lot of hamburgers, but they're not teaching it in culinary schools.
Right. And they're not kosher. God damn.
And they're not kosher. That's right.
Very important thing. We are speaking about the laws of comedy and kashrut with the wonderful Steve Kaplan. We're going to wrap this up, but I want to, again, remind everybody.
Wrap it up. I'm having the time of my life.
Well, I have one more question. I'm not letting you go yet. We're going to go through the full hour, but I do want to... You want me to tell people, first of all, that they can see you in March in Los Angeles doing your seminar. They can see you in London, England, doing the seminar in April. And then in New York, you'll be there in September doing what you do. And to get a Vorspeise, to get a taste of what you do, remember that you can get his books, The Hidden Tools of Comedy, and, of course, The Comic Hero's Journey. All of that available from KaplanComedy.com. And he will, as he said, if you buy it directly from him, first of all, will you give him a discount if they mention me? I doubt it. But your autograph.
I won't charge them any more money.
That's good. There you go. See, that is Jewish character right there. And he'll autograph them as well. Comedy. So,
a little Yiddishkeit.
For the comic hero's journey, our last question for Steve Kaplan is you have this distinguishing thing, and it's fun to hear about, like the difference between the hero in a movie, the Charles Bronson sort of character, versus a comic hero, not an anti-hero, but a very different thing that you call the non-hero. Please explain.
Well, the non-hero, we call it the non-hero because they lack some of the skills that are required to win. If you think about Charles Bronson or some action hero,
Clint Eastwood, right.
Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson,
and Arnold Stang, for example.
Who's the guy in Fast and Furious?
Vin Diesel?
Vin Diesel. Put Vin Diesel in a room with 12 guys with guns. Who wins? Well, Vin Diesel.
Right. Yeah.
Because Vin Diesel is strong and he's got great skills and he's good at combat and armed combat. He's got all the skills. Put Woody Allen in a room with 12 guys with guns.
Or gubs, as he would say. Yeah.
You're laughing. I haven't written one word of dialogue. I haven't written one joke, and you're already laughing because I'm putting a comic character who lacks skills into an impossible situation. Maybe Woody Allen would go, "Don't shoot me. I'm a bleeder. It'll ruin the rug."
Right.
So
that was a pretty good impersonation, by the way. I will applaud that.
Thank you. So a non-hero is somebody who lacks some, if not all, the essential skills with which to win. They don't have to be the stupidest person, but they simply have to lack something. And sometimes, some of the qualities they lack are kindness, like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. He lacks empathy and sympathy. So if you simply have your character lack a skill, it's not that they're trying to be dumb or they're trying to do the worst thing, but they're simply not able to do some things because they lack the skills. And one of the most important skills that a character needs to lack is the skill of knowing, because that's one big mistake that writers make is because writers are like omniscient beings creating this world. They know everything, and so when they write their protagonists, they're usually identifying with the protagonist, and so they're not stupid, so they don't want the protagonist to be stupid. But what happens is that they have their character know too much, and one of the basic elements of comedy is not knowing, not being necessarily being stupid, but simply not knowing. There's a scene that I show from a Cary Grant movie, and I'll ask people, how would you characterize Cary Grant? And they'll say suave, and sophisticated, and debonair. And I'll show this scene in which Cary Grant in Arsenic and Old Lace finds a dead body in a window seat, and he opens the window seat, he closes it up quickly, he opens it up again, He's perplexed. He says, "Are you okay?" And he closes it up again. And then the camera shows him confused and bewildered. And I'll freeze frame on that, and I'll say, not knowing turns Cary Grant into George Costanza, because one of the basic elements of drama is that characters have great emotion, but they're never surprised. They're never bewildered. If you have a character in a drama, all of a sudden go, what? That makes it a comic moment.
Yeah.
So a non-hero is simply a character like us who doesn't know stuff. For instance, there was this meteor that came crashing to Earth a couple of years ago. It crashed somewhere in Siberia, and it sent hundreds of people to the hospital, but nobody died. But it really happened. So for all we know, there's a meteor coming straight for Rabbi Saul Solomon.
Yeah.
Right. So for all we know, it's heading right towards you, and it's going to hit you and immolate you.
Where's my umbrella?
You'll be so. Do you think that's going to happen?
My luck, maybe, but no, it's unlikely. It's not,
unlikely.
maybe a satellite. Okay, yeah.
Do you hope it doesn't happen?
I kind of do. Yes, I'm holding a Torah as we speak as defense. Yes.
Okay, so you guess it's not going to happen. You hope it doesn't happen. Are you 100% sure it's not going to happen?
99.99999.
Are you 100%?
All right, I'm 100% sure it's not going to happen.
I don't think you can be 100% sure.
So why are you bugging me with it? Okay, so but what's the point then?
So the point is that we live every 5 seconds of our lives in hopes and guesses.
Oh, okay.
We guess it's not going to happen. We hope it doesn't, but we don't know. But characters in drama, no, they're not besieged by doubt. But in comedy, characters have doubt. They have to have doubt. They have to not know.
Huh. I'm trying to work on this in the sense that are there characters in drama who are certainly full of self-doubt in a non-comic way? I could probably think of some, but especially in modern drama. But at the moment,
no. I mean, think of a soap opera.
Oh wow.
In a soap opera, which is kind of an exaggerated form of drama. A character will say, "I'm breaking up with you, Saul," and Saul will go, and Saul will be hurt, and he'll go, "For Steve, right?" But so you Saul could be hurt,
right?
But not surprised.
Yeah.
He'll know something. He'll understand it. Whereas in a comedy, somebody will say, "I'm breaking up with you, Saul," and Saul will go, "Before dinner?" Because maybe you'll get one more meal out of it. Who knows?
I like that. See, that is in character because the food especially. You're right.
Exactly. So a non-hero is somebody who lacks skills, and one of the basic skills to lack is simply having foreknowledge.
Well,
allowing yourself to not know. And if you look at sitcoms, if you look at movies, the character who doesn't know is in the center of the comedy.
This is now we're all more serious because now we know much more about comedy. We are all knowing, well, not all knowing, but
just think about how much we still don't know.
Oh well.
So we're still fighting.
Well, it has been delightful learning about knowing and not knowing and being and nothingness and Immanuel Kant and Immanuel Can from Steve Kaplan. Remember that his website is kaplancomedy.com, kaplancomedy.com. That is where you can get his books, The Hidden Tools of Comedy and The Comic Hero's Journey, and also take his seminars. You can also find his videos and his explanations all over the interwebs and YouTube as well. It just remains for me to thank so much Steve Kaplan for the first, more than anything else, even more than the instruction, the fun that we have had talking with him about one of the most joyful things of all, comedy. Steve Kaplan, it just remains for me to wish you a most happy 2020 and much more success and laughs, but a good, not just a momentarily funny laugh to you, but a laugh that is, that builds and turns wonderful all the way from the first page to the very, very last, from the first frame to the last. Steve Kaplan, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Rabbi. I feel very spiritually advanced at this point.
Well, that's certainly not from me, but thank you. Thank you so much. And shalom to you.
Shalom to you.
A little more of Steve Kaplan.
What's my advice to the next generation trying to write their Groundhog Day or their 40-year-old virgin? I guess my advice would be that you first find collaborators Comedy is a communal activity. It's hard to just laugh by yourself. People who laugh by themselves maybe have problems. But if you're laughing in a group, at least you can say, well, it's not just me. Try to find what you think is funny and perfect it and share it. If you can at least please your own circle, that's a good start. I mean, that's what Monty Python did. Those were 6 guys, 3 of them from Cambridge, 3 of them from Oxford, and they got together and they realized our sense of humor has some bite and maybe we can share that with other people.
Actually, wow, for a moment I actually sounded like Rabbi Saul Solomon there. How strange.
Wow.
But it is important to please your own circle, which is why we have strap-ons. But and then here was the meteor that almost hit Rabbi Saul Solomon. Look at that. It almost, but it just missed him by a few inches. It's amazing the luck that man has. But boy, oh boy, what fun hearing Rabbi Saul Solomon talking with Steve Kaplan here on Dave's Gone By, where it's 5 minutes after noon already to the show. And oh dear, Cynthia. Cynthia and Jeff are still with us and still watching us, but she's saying, don't think, if you don't mind she's typing public messages here. She's saying, she doesn't think they can play the trivia game because she's on her way to the emergency room.
Oh my God.
That's not an excuse, Cynthia.
She could do
Supper.
it on her phone. She could do it on her phone.
Well, you know what? We'll start the Today Yesterday quiz right now on Dave's Gone By on this Saturday, February 1st, 2020. So you can play for as long as you're waiting for the Uber or the ambulance to come get you. I hope you're okay. Not sure. You were at the doctor's office. Why the hell are they sending you to the ER or to Chicago Hope? Either one. But let's we'll start it and you'll play as long as you can and then everybody else will play along. It's a trivia game where I ask, where the hell are my, here they are, trivia questions about this day in history. Well, it's February 1st, 2020. There have been zillions of previous February 1sts in history. Your job, should you choose to accept it, is to figure out from our clues, what actually happened, what the answer is to our trivia questions, or as the Beach Boys would say, I know there's an answer. Well, certainly, first of all, Cynthia, I hope you're okay, or Jeff is okay, that it's all going well. But to take your mind off the arm that you actually accidentally sawed off, or the corona that is working its way through your system at the moment, join me right now in our Today Yesterday quiz for February 1st. And everybody else, here's the deal. Cynthia and Jeff will type in their answers. So you kind of have to beat them. No fair Googling, no fair, is my little plinky xylophone thing.
Oh, it's right here.
Thank you. So, it's not really like Jeopardy, but it's still a trivia quiz. Here we go. I almost inverted the numbers there. 1587. 1587 was the year. Queen Elizabeth I went through years of misery before finally ascending to the throne. When she did, she realized that her chief rival was a woman who had been groomed as royalty all her life. For years, she either imprisoned this rival or kept her in exile until finally, on February 1st, 1587, Elizabeth signed her death warrant. Who was this threat? Okay, there's your first question in our Today Yesterday quiz. Rather long-winded, I apologize for that, but here's the deal. Queen Elizabeth had an enemy, or certainly a perceived enemy, her chief rival, so Elizabeth had a pretty rough life, whereas this other person was kind of groomed and coddled throughout her life and groomed for the throne. So Elizabeth had to figure out what to do with this other person. Eventually, she had her killed. Who was this threat. So I'll wait a few seconds and see if Cynthia and Jeff are still playing, or anyone out there who is playing this trivia game. Feel free to type in messages right here, or if you're playing in the watch party, you can message right there. Who was the rival of Queen Elizabeth I? I'll give it a couple of seconds. Potato, do you know the answer to this one? H.J. Hines? No, it wasn't H.J. No. Give it a few more seconds, and then I'll give you a hint. And the hint is, and it's just coincidental that we were just talking about this, but the hint is Monty Python. How would this connect? What would this be? Okay. I think Cynthia and Jeff are riding in the ambulance as we speak. I'm going to give it just about 5 more seconds, and then we're going to have to give the answer. Hun, do you want to take a stab?
Queen Elizabeth, the 01.
Oh, the one before Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
That's Joyce's answer. Was it pre-Elizabeth? Was it before the 2.0 version or 1.0 version of Queen Elizabeth? Who was the rival? And the answer is, Monty Python fans, you know the sketch, "Are you Mary Queen of Scots?" I am. And then they proceed to kill her very slowly and painfully on the radio. But it's Mary Queen of Scots, or Mary Stuart was her name. She was decapitated 1 week later on February 8th, 1587 in Fotheringay. So I guess we're just kind of playing against ourselves. I don't see Cynthia and Jeff here anymore for obvious and hopefully not too sad reasons. Let's get on to the next question. 1884 was the year. A 352-page book was published today, the first part of a much longer work, and one that had been formulated by author Samuel Taylor Coleridge 23 years earlier. What was the book, which sold 4,000 copies but wasn't fully completed until 1928? Okay, so here's the deal. Well, no, I'm going to give you a few seconds. See if anybody wants to chime in. See if anybody's thinking about this one. No fair wikiing, binging,
Say it again.
duck going. On this date, in 1884, a 352-page book was published. But it was only part of a longer work. That was the idea of Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and it took about a quarter century for it to happen. What was the book where this part of it sold about 4,000 copies, rather expensively, but wasn't fully completed even then for another 30 years, 30, 40 years? What book are we talking about? I'm going to give it another couple of seconds.
I know what it was. Captain Underpants.
Oh! You know what? I'm going to give that to you. Just because it should have been Captain Underpants. Well, here's the clue. Here's the hint. You would actually find every word in Captain Underpants in this book.
Oh, the dictionary.
Bingo. It was the first volume of the dictionary, or what they call
big dictionary.
You know what they called the volume back then?
What?
A section of a bigger, longer work that's first published.
What?
I never knew this word. A fascicle.
What?
Fascicle. What a great word. Of either fash or fascicle. I have a Seminole fascicle, but anyway, and it was the Oxford English Dictionary, letters A through ANT, and it took till 1928 until the full first edition of the OED was published. So OMG, it was the OED. The first volume was published today in 1884. All right, we're doing our today-yesterday quiz. We move up a couple of years to 1893. On this date, the Black Mariah made its debut today. What was it? What was the Black Mariah? Give it a couple of seconds.
I think it was a dance team.
Maybe. And I do have a multiple choice on this one. So for those of you who think you know it, take a second. Know it. And now here comes our multiple choice. Was it a Ford automobile,
Mm-mm.
the first modernized British hand grenade, a movie studio, or the last published novel of Herman Melville? Well, good Lord, there's like giant, maybe that's the ambulance is rushing Jeff to the hospital, God forbid. So what was the Black Mariah? Got 4 choices there: a Ford automobile, a modern hand grenade, a movie studio, or Herman Melville's last published book. You want to take a stab? Because I'm ready to do the countdown.
I give up. I don't know.
No?
I think it was none of these. D, none of the above. E, none of the above.
That was a possibility.
Mhm.
But Steve Kaplan would have known this one, and I knew this one as a student of film. That was Thomas Edison's studio. He built the Black Mariah in West Orange, New Jersey. It was the first film studio in 1893. And I think that was the one where, I swear to God, they built it in a way so it was rotatable.
Really?
So you could get, when the sun moved,
That's
you could
crazy.
move it towards where the sun would shine in properly. You get natural lighting. Okay, we're on to our next question in our Today Yesterday quiz. Same year, also 1893, February 1st, Manon Lescaut debuts in Turin. And then 3 years later, on the same day, on February 1st, so this is a double right here, La Boheme debuts in Turin. Who is the composer of both?
Is it Ludacris?
No. Try again.
Ludacris?
No, it's not Shuby Taylor.
Ludacris.
It's not no, Ludacris. So 2 different operas.
Oh, Dr. Dre.
They debuted within 3 years of each other. One was Manon Lescaut. The other is La Boheme. They both debuted in Turin on February 1st in the late 1890s. Who was the composer of both of these operas?
Dad would know.
Probably, yeah. You want to take a stab? It's one of the 2 most famous opera people of all time.
I don't know. 50 Cent.
We're going to do the countdown. And the answer is Giacomo Puccini. And here's the cool stuff. This is the thing I found out that is really amazing trivia piece. When he was 28 years old, Arturo Toscanini conducted the premiere of La Boheme in Turin. And then 50 years later, he conducted it again for a radio broadcast.
Cool.
And I think it's the only time that the original conductor of an opera's debut went on and conducted again for like TV or for media, for radio. So the answer was Giacomo Puccini or Joe Pucci. Is probably
Joe Pucci, baby.
Yeah, something like that. February 1st, 1958. Our next question. So we roll through like another half century there. 1958, singer-songwriter Domenico Modugno, we're staying Italian, aren't we, released a single titled Nel blu dipinto di blu. The song would hit #1 on the Billboard charts and win a Grammy for Song of the Year. What is the more popular name for this song, which is a name that is taken from the song's...
Oh, Me So Horny.
Oh, Me So Horny. No. Or since it's Italian, it'd be Oh Solo Mio So Horny.
Oh.
I made that up right in his head. So, name of the song was Nel blu dipinto di blu by Domenico Modugno. It was on the Billboard charts, and in fact, it was #1, and it won a Grammy for Song of the Year, but we don't know it by that name, even though that Italian bit is in the song. How do we know this song? You want to take a stabberoo?
No, I don't know.
You know the song. It was, here's the clue.
Okay.
I'll kind of give it away. It was a car commercial jingle later on
That doesn't help me.
with Corinthian leather, unless I'm
I don't know.
mistaken the all right, I'm going to do the countdown. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
The answer is Volare, oh, volare, oh, nel blu di pinto di blu, which is where that came from. That was a big, big hit on February 1st, 1958. That's when Domenico Modugno released the original version of Volare. All right, are we ready for the next today, yesterday? It's just, I miss Cynthia and Jeff. I feel like I'm kind of going into the void here. So please, people, feel free to type in and give the answers and play against me and play against Joyce and see how you do. All right, we're halfway through our quiz, our today, yesterday quiz for February 1st in history. February 1st, 1968. On this date, captured on film and in a famous still photograph, Nguyen Ngoc Loan does something to Nguyen Van Lem. What was it? Mm-hmm.
It's very confusing.
Well, here's the thing. It was captured on film and also in a very famous photograph. Nguyen Ngoc Loan does something to Nguyen Van Lem. And it happened on February 1st, 1968. What was it?
Was it herpes?
No. Want to try another one? It wasn't corona. And think about the names and where they're from.
I don't know.
Nguyen.
Queens.
That'd be Old Yen.
Mm.
Now you want to take a little a stabberoo? I'm going to give a countdown. And the answer is Nguyen Ngoc Loan was a South Vietnamese general, and he shot Nguyen Van Lem, who was from the Viet Cong, right in the head. Photographer Eddie Adams won the Pulitzer Prize for the photograph, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's first of all, people see that as the ultimate anti-war because you know that picture.
Yes.
You see, I mean, if we know the still photo better than we know the actual video, it wasn't video, it was 16 millimeter news footage. You actually see the blood coming out of his head before he falls down and dies. And we think, oh my God, what a horrible, cruel, cold thing. Meanwhile, he killed Viet Cong. He literally killed the enemy who was killing other people earlier in the day, including Americans. So on some level, we should be grateful to Nguyen Ngoc Loan, even though he has become the symbol, that picture has become the symbol of everything that's wrong with war. Well, Loan got his, and Loan ended up getting wounded and losing his leg. And then, you know what happened to him? And this is not I'm not being funny at all.
What happened?
What do you think happens to a man who is in war,
he killed
who
himself.
kills people,
He killed himself.
No.
What?
Moved to America and opened a restaurant in Virginia.
Of course.
True. He had a restaurant in Virginia.
Wow.
Anyway, let's move on to a much happier topic. Today, yesterday, 1972. Neil Young's fourth solo album is released, and it becomes the best-selling album of the year. Success that surprises Neil Young and kind of freaks him out. It remains, this album, arguably his most commercially popular record, and features such tunes as Old Man, A Man Needs a Maid, and, of course, Heart of Gold. Name what we used to call the LP. Any music fans out there? Any Neil Young fans? A lot of clues in this one. Anybody remember it? No? Joyce is not a Neil Young fan. I'll repeat again. 1972, February 1st, was the release date for Neil Young's fourth solo album. It was best-selling album of the year, probably of his career. I'm not sure about that part. But, and it's also a very commercially popular record. Old Man is on it. Heart of Gold is on it. Name the record. It's the one where you see an image in like the mirror, the side mirror of a car. And it is Harvest. It's Neil Young's Harvest album, which still holds up pretty darn well, by the way. Issued today, yesterday, 1978. By the U.S. Post Office, the first Black woman to appear on an American postage stamp. Who was she? I'll give you a second or two, and then I'll give you a multiple choice on this. Want to play along on this one?
No, I don't know. I don't know anything.
Well, I'll give you a hint on this. The first black woman, this was 1978, to appear on an American postage stamp. Was it Rosa Parks, Maya Angelou, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman? Want to take a...
I thought it was you, honey.
No. I was the fifth black woman to appear on a postage stamp. But who was the very first? And sadly, it took until 1978 for this to happen. But was it Rosa Parks, Maya Angelou, Sojourner Truth, or Harriet Tubman? Make a clean sweep of this one, because we dip ourselves in the tub, man. Harriet Tubman, first black woman on a postage stamp in America. All right, we got two more questions in our yesterday quiz for today, February 1st, 2020. Let's roll it back to 1982. After realizing he wasn't the right fit for a morning show, NBC puts David Letterman on in late night. The rest is, of course, entertainment history. So historically, who was David Letterman's first guest?
Oh, I know who.
All right, give it a moment. And I also have a multiple choice for this.
I know who it is. Is his initials JC?
Jesus.
No, not Jesus.
Jesus was Moses' first guest on his talk show. Ooh, that's a very good guess.
No?
But I'm going to give you the candidates
of course
here.
I got it wrong then.
Was it Steve Martin, Bill Murray?
Oh, no. Bette Midler?
No, that was Carson's last guest, was Bette Midler. Martin Short? Or was it Larry Bud Melman dressed as Elvis?
I don't think maybe Martin Short.
Oh, Cynthia and Jeff are there, but they're in the ER waiting.
Oh, God.
So you'll be there a few. We should keep this quiz going. You'll be there 5 hours before the doctor sees you. So hold that leg on as best you can.
God.
So Cynthia and Jeff, if you can play our penultimate question in our yesterday quiz. In 1982, David Letterman did his very first Late Night with David Letterman show on NBC. So he had his first guest on the program. Was it Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Martin Short, or Elvis, but actually being played by Larry Bud Melman?
It's got to be Larry Bud.
Could have been. So I'm actually going to give it a couple of seconds to see when Cynthia and Jeff are listening and are able to take a stab.
Don't say that in the ER.
Yeah, in the ER, that's right.
That's not really
Take a shot. No, take a shot.
Oh, no. Take a guess.
Take a guess. Take a gander.
Yeah, don't say anything but...
Oh, they're playing again. Yay!
Yay.
And we have an answer.
Oh, my God.
The answer is Bill Murray. It was indeed Bill Murray.
Really?
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, he was the last guest, too. They made sure that Bill Murray was the first guest and the last one he left CBS. And the thing was, can you guess, this is just for fun, the second guest on the same show, that same first show?
Bob Dylan.
No.
I don't know. Bette Midler.
No, not Bette Midler.
No.
I wouldn't know. I mean, nobody knows. But the second guest on the first Late Night with David Letterman was Don Herbert, a.k.a. Science.
Oh, the science man.
Mr. Wizard. What? Joyce is not impressed by Mr. Wizard being on the very first Late Night. Anyway, we got one more question. I'm thrilled that Cynthia and Jeff I would have held the quiz a little bit if I'd known you were able to tune in. But we got one more question for February 1st. 1991 is the year. Today, yesterday, 1991. After the moderate success and critical acclaim of A Time to Kill, John Grisham publishes his second novel today. It's about lawyers, of course, and it's a smash, eventually becoming a movie with Tom Cruise, Gene Hackman, and Holly Hunter. What was the book? Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. I'll read it again. 1991 is the date. After the moderate success and critical acclaim of A Time to Kill, John Grisham publishes his second novel on this date, 1991. It's a lawyer book, duh, a smash. They made a movie of it, a Tom Cruise movie. What was the name of the book that really made John Grisham kind of a novelist superstar? Can give it another couple minutes, or another few seconds for Cynthia and Jeff. And by the way, if you're being examined by a doctor, you can still play along, Cynthia. You know, he's got the stethoscope up somewhere where we're not allowed to look. All right, here we go. Well, okay, well, that's not an answer. Cynthia says that she loves John Grisham. That's great. We've already said it is John Grisham, but what's the book? He's written a bunch of them. What was the book that really made his name?
So lawyer book.
Yeah. It's like saying, you know, oh, which can, I can't even think of the joke. Yes, it's a lawyer book. It wasn't the Julia Roberts movie. And it wasn't, I'm sure almost every book of his was made into, they're blanking on the title. Maybe if you think harder, it will solidify in your mind and you won't go so soft on the answer.
I don't know it either. I don't read that kind of crap.
If you're at the doctor's office, you're probably on a mattress, but a good mattress, not one of those soft, you know, puffy mattresses, but a mattress that's nice and
hard.
Or
the firm.
Boom! Joyce beat you. Sorry, Cynthia and Jeff. Joyce got it. She got it. She got it. Go, Joyce. The Firm was published today. John Grisham's second book and his first real blockbuster that led to the career that he has. Well, that is our yesterday quiz for Saturday, February 1st, 2020. Well, Cynthia and Jeff came up with little late. Joyce beat you to it. Oh, well. Oh, well, but you're probably on a ton of meds, Cynthia and Jeff. But I hope everything's okay. I don't know.
They can't hear, they can only read.
You think?
No, because I can't hear you.
Oh, but anywho, hope you guys are feeling better. Oh, they're saying there was a lag time. By the time I don't know. I did ask the question 2 or 3 minutes ago, but I'll give it to you just because I want you to feel better and get real healthy and get out of that ER and back home and tuning in every Saturday for this show, Dave's Gone By, with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, and all our wonderful listeners. So I've got a couple more quick segments to do before we get out of here today. We're not going to do story time today. We're going to have to table that one. But we are going to do 2 more things, as well as our friends of the Daverhood. So, and these are the ones where you do want to get the children out of the room. So it is lunchtime. This would be a perfect time to bring your children downstairs, get them out of the way, because we'll have a couple of things. So what should I do first, Ben? Should I do the Colorado Limerick of the Damned, or should I do My Sick Mind, devoted to Kobe Bryant?
Ow. Don't do Kobe Bryant when I'm here.
Okay, so let me do My Sick Mind. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let me do the Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Then we'll do our friends of the Daverhood. I'll do a My Sick Mind to end the show, inappropriately, of course, and then we'll get on out of here. So here's the deal. Colorado Limerick of the Damned every week, because Joyce and I were living in Colorado for a bunch of years. I started writing poems that were devoted every week to a different town or city or municipality in Colorado. They're short poems. They're limericks. They're 5 lines long, and they're generally rude and nasty and tasteless and awful, which is why I love them. So, ladies and gentlemen, today's Colorado Limerick of the Damned is going to be devoted to Parlin, Colorado. Parlin, never heard of it either, Colorado, with our theme song that goes like this.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 would end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado, 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 Colorado.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, our Colorado Limerick of the Dam devoted today, this February 1st, 2020, to Parlin, Colorado, which is a small community in Gunnison County, and it's named after this rancher who branded all his cattle with the number 76. I have no idea why he picked that number, or I mean, that's about the only thing I could find about Parlin, Colorado, is that it's this teeny little place in Gunnison. So it's still kind of undeveloped, as it were. Yeah, wildernessy.
But it's mountainous.
Yeah, mountainous. And well, there's a rancher branded, at least they could have cattle. So maybe they were all cattle on an incline. Our Colorado Limerick of the Dam is devoted to Parlin, Colorado. Are you ready, folks? Here we go. There is, hold on, I need absolute silence for this. I do. Hold on. Get your stuff. Okay. Ahem, ahem. There is a young woman from Parlin that all the men want to call darlin'. But when she gets close, they realize she's gross. Her pussy smells like a dead marlin. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is wasn't that worth waiting for? Our Colorado Limerick of the Dam for today, February 1st, 2020, here in the Daverhood. Send your comments and complaints to me at davesgoneby@aol.com. davesgoneby@aol.com. You can also message me right here on our Facebook page. And remember, please, 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 we want lots of people watching and enjoying the show every week or watching our archives. Because remember, you can go on our Facebook page and scroll down and see the last 2 years of our shows on video. They're all maintained right here on Facebook. You can also go to our website, davesgoneby.com, to see and hear all the archives there too, and all our interviews of amazing people who've been on the program in the past. And we call them friends of the Daverhood. One of the fun things that we like to do is let you know what they're up to. We like to tell you, hey, so-and-so was on our show 6 or 7 or 12 years ago, and now they're in this play, or they put out this book or this album, like if they even call it albums now. So we call that our Friends of the Daverhood. We do it every week to a little bit of classical music, because you know just how classy I am. But I like to get here, Friends of the Daverhood. So our Friends of the Daverhood for today include, I'm so glad to mention this person, one of my favorite guests of all time, Christine Lavin, the singer-songwriter, the folk zinger, as she would call herself, as part of Julie Gold's birthday celebration at the Duplex. That is today, February 1st. On February 3rd, Seth Rudetsky's Broadway will feature Patina Miller. Rudetsky was on the show about 2 years ago or 3. That is taking place at Town Hall. For more information, go to thetownhall.org. Also on February 3rd, New York Theater Workshop will have its annual gala, and this one will feature our Tony Award-winning friend Andre DeShields, whom, by the way, you can also see him in Hadestown on Broadway. That is happening at the Capitale Restaurant, the New York Theater Workshop Gala, on the 3rd. And then on the 4th and the 5th of February, the national tour of A Bronx Tale, the musical, which was co-written by our friend Chaz Palminteri based on his solo show. That is going to be playing at Binghamton in New York, the Forum Theater, so catch that there. Daniel Kaner is doing his solo musical show, Jewish Chronicles, at the Soho Playhouse. He's brought that back. It's running from the 5th through the 9th of February. The 6th through the 8th, you can see Tova Feldshuh. She will be at Feinstein's 54 Below. On the 7th of February, I believe that's this Friday, playing for hopefully a very long time on Broadway, it's Girl from the North Country. We mentioned this before. It's a musical based on some old Bob Dylan songs reappropriated in sort of a Depression-era boarding house context. J.O. Sanders, our actor friend, is in that. Girl from the North Country at Broadway's Belasco Theater, and it starts previews on Friday. Now through February 15th, we mentioned this before, Edward Einhorn's autobiographical play Doctors Jane and Alexander is being done at Here, which is down on Spring Street in the Village. Gerard Alessandrini's Forbidden Broadway, I reviewed that last week here on the show, is playing at the York Theater at St. Peter's through the middle of February. Anne Harada is appearing in the musical Emoji Land, which was just extended a week at the Duke Theater on West 42nd Street, that is playing now through the middle of March. Now, for a couple more weeks, I think it's just to the end of February, My Name is Lucy Barton, directed by Richard Eyre, on Broadway at Manhattan Theater Club's Samuel J. Friedman Theater. Little Shop of Horrors, running through March 15th at the West Side Theater off Broadway. You can go see Chicago. It's been running forever. Our friend Ray Bahour is in Chicago at the Ambassador Theater on Broadway. And then Katsura Sunshine doing his solo show, Rakugo, at New World Stages off Broadway through the end, or towards the end of April. Want to remind you that Daniel Breaker is in Hamilton. Irene Sankoff and David Hine wrote Come From Away, and that Danny Burston is in Moulin Rouge. Jim Caruso's Cast Party happens every Monday night at Birdland. Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com, a fine website about New York nightlife. Dr. Demento, still doing new and old Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. He's not doing old Dr. Demento shows, he's archived them there, so you can all listen. Leslie Hoban Blake and Charlie Gross, they co-host the theater review show Two on the Aisle every other week on Manhattan Cable TV via Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You can stream that at mnn.org. That is also the place to see Eva Heinemann's theater review show, High Drama. Remember that David Kenny is doing his theater and cabaret-based musical show called Everything Old is New Again, Sunday nights on WBAI Radio. SoundsOfBroadway.com is Stuart Brown's website of show tunes. And finally, of course, Bob Cudmore, his podcast of upstate New York history, bobcudmore.com. And remember, I didn't even get to tell you, or I did tell you about Performing Arts Insider, but our friends of the Daverhood, Mary Sheng Barnage and Willard Manis and Ann Siegel, all write reviews that are published in TotalTheater.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Let's find that out. Scary music. No. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're more than 3.5 hours into the program. We're almost done. I do promise that. Remember, if you missed all or part of the show, go to davesgoneby.com for the audio and video archives. Go to archive.org, the Dave's Gone By page, to both watch and hear the archives. If you want to just listen, they've got them just the audio, or they also have the videos there too. Or castbox.fm, the Dave's Gone By page, for just the audio files of recent shows. So it's all there. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone. Oh, and YouTube too. We also upload all our shows to YouTube as well. Well, here's the deal. Before we let you go, before we go off to do all sorts of fun things on this Saturday, February 1st, 2020, it is time for one more segment that I apologized for before. I'm going to apologize for it again. For this whole past week, it's been, no matter all the news happening everywhere, all of the Brexit and the impeachment and the Corona and the Super Bowl and all of it, no, everybody's got to be talking about Kobe Bryant. Terrible tragedy. You know, he and his daughter and several other people that nobody cares about because they're not famous were killed in this helicopter crash. Terrible, sad thing. And yet day after day after, man, I'm sure it's been in the ground already for a week, and they're still like this is what the helicopter did wrong, and you know, here's what Kobe Bryant's first gym teacher thinks about it. Enough, man. Other people live and die, and it's just a little bit much. Maybe if I were a huge basketball fan, or you know, if I were inner city and he meant an extraordinary amount to me. And he is apparently one of the greatest basketball players of all time, so it is a terrible loss. But no matter whether I care or don't care, sometimes the only way to respond to loss like that is, you know, a big middle finger at the gods, a middle finger at the sky, and jokes. And what Steve Kaplan would call funny, he may not call these jokes funny, or versus comedy. They're just instantaneous, they're mean, they're rude, they're crude, they are what I have to do, because it's just what I do. So yes, we have a segment called My Sick Mind, because these are all jokes that sprang out of the demented sickness that is this medulla oblongata right here in Dave Lefkowitz. The segment, My Sick Mind, devoted to Kobe Bryant on Dave's Gone By.
My sick, my sick, my sick, my sick, my sick mind.
Well, talk about bad taste.
My sick, my sick, my sick, my sick, my sick mind.
You sick little monkey.
All right, our My Sick Mind segment devoted to the late and truly great Kobe Bryant. Again, step away from your radios or your computers or your little space helmets for the next couple of minutes if sick humor is not your thing. Certainly is mine. Certainly is mine, excuse me. What's the difference between Kobe beef and Kobe meat? Well, Kobe beef goes in a bento box. Kobe meat goes in a casket.
Whatever.
Yeah. What part of Kobe Bryant can be left behind for science? His balls. I think I grabbed the wrong machine for this. I need better music here. Here we go. What basketball moves did Kobe Bryant teach his helicopter? Slam dunk. What basketball technique will Kobe Bryant use to leave the scene? Box out. Kind of have to know basketball to get that one. What happened to Kobe Bryant's spine during the accident? Fast break. Did they find Kobe Bryant's blood mixed in a helicopter's fuel? Nah, just in the paint. These are all basketball. I'm sure you get that. How does Kobe Bryant's body smell? Foul. Now that worked. What's the last liquid? This is my favorite, I think, of all the ones. What's the last liquid to come out of Kobe Bryant after the crash? A through-the-legs dribble. This one I think is clever. Why does Anita Bryant hate Kobe Bryant? Well, he was flaming. What is Kobe Bryant's favorite cooking show? Chopped. What's his favorite movie? Crash. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, and as David Letterman would say, not a moment too soon, what was Kobe Bryant's favorite sitcom? Big Bang. My sick mind, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, here on Dave's Gone By.
Well, talk about bad taste.
My sick, my sick, my sick, my sick, my sick mind.
You sick little monkey.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tolerating that. Turn off the music there. You have been watching and mostly enjoying the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, our wonderful and adorable dog, Ufti, who make a cameo appearance. Oh, wow, what a hog. Wow, he's just a hog for the camera, isn't he? Here's our wonderful, amazing, and beautiful dog, Ufti. Hello, Ufti. And our amazing and beautiful and wonderful Potato. Hi. And welcome to our 2 new potatoes that arrived. Weren't you thrilled by that, babe?
No.
Wasn't that incredibly exciting and thrilling?
They hurt me badly.
So, got to do some, well, before I do the thank yous, I do want to encourage you. Verily, I urge thee to tune in next Saturday for our next Dave's Gone By, our 732nd episode of the show, because it's going to be a really, really cool one. We're scheduled to have 2 different amazing guests. One of them is a veteran actor named Lou Liberatore. Lou Liberatore, I may be over Italianating it, but he was in the original Broadway production of Torch Song Trilogy, and he's doing a lot of acting now off-Broadway. He was in Peter Felicia's show just a couple of months ago, and now he's doing another show that's being done by Max McLean's troupe, Fellowship for the Performing Arts, and they're doing Paradise Lost in kind of a fun, new, modern-ish way, and he is in that. It's Lou Liberatore. He should be with us next Saturday. We're pretty well confirmed on that. And on the same show, because these things, you know how it is. Sometimes we can't get any guests at all, and sometimes we have to surf it. But we are thrilled and expecting this to happen. He's directing a new musical in Calgary. We'll have the actor and director Lonnie Price with us. Now, this is a guy, he was in the original production of the Stephen Sondheim musical, Merrily We Roll Along. He was also in maybe my favorite new musical of the last 30 years, which was called A Class Act. Is that from outside? Do you hear that beeping outside? I'm just, but anyway, Lonnie Price should also be joining us next Saturday, February 8th, 2020 on Dave's Gone By. Plus, we'll make time for some of our great usual, cool. Our great usual things like Gridley Crimes and Old Times, and our story time perhaps will return, and maybe our certainly we'll have our Colorado Limerick, The Damned. In fact, you can look forward to it because next Saturday our Colorado Limerick will be about Arboles, Colorado. Something to look at. I had to find trees. Yeah, means trees. I'm gonna have to find some rhymes for the town of Arboles, Colorado, not to be missed. So do look forward to that. It will be our usual time, 9 until noon, next Saturday, Eastern time in the Daverhood. Before we go, thank you to my wonderful wife, the potatoes, etc., and most of all, Steve Kaplan, our friend of the Daverhood now. Remember that his website is kaplancomedy.com. kaplancomedy.com. It is the place where you can find out about his weekend seminars that he'll be doing in California, in London, and in September he will be doing them in New York. You can also get his books. It's all there, and he will autograph them for you if you get them via kaplancomedy.com. And thank you also to Rabbi Saul Solomon for being on the program with us. Rabbi Saul has his own website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. Shalomdammit.com. It's the place where you can read and hear his rabbinical reflections. It is also the place to watch his one-man show that he did at the Richmond Shepherd Theater called Shalom Dammit, An Evening With, and even see episodes of his hilarious TV show that he did for Long Island cable television about a decade ago. It's all there at shalomdammit.com. And you can also check out his Twitter feed at Rabbi Saul Solomon. Check out my Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. It's Radio Dave, the number 2. And of course, the website, davesgoneby.com. Well, I think I'm going to leave. Last thing I'm going to leave you with. I'm glad you're here, Joyce. Anything else you want to mention? Anything you want to talk about? No? I think we're ready to wrap up the
I'm
show.
dropping everything, David.
So,
I have a headache from the pain.
well, I'm this joke will make you feel better. I know I wrote another joke, didn't fit into any other part of the bit.
Okay.
I think this is wonderful.
What's it about?
Oh, you know, when I recite the alphabet,
Mhm.
I immediately skip from X to Z. I don't know why.
Bum.
Come on, that's
Pick a
wonderful.
Hebrew letter
Yeah.
that matches Y. That looks like a Y.
I think we have a yud here. Is there
Is
a
that
yud?
yud?
The yud is a tiny little thing. We may not have one.
Is
No, there's no yud. Yes, she found the yud. Here, the yud is good. The yud is good,
You
ladies
take
and
it.
gentlemen. Oh. So, anyway, doing some yudish here on Dave's Gone By. We got to get out of here. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, again, the archive will be on Facebook immediately. You can check the archive within about 24 to 48 hours on davesgoneby.com. Have a fine week. It's going to be, if you're in New York, it's a little gray and cloudy, but the temperature is going to go up to like the 40s and the 50s next couple of days. So yay, cool way to start February. Potato's going to bid you all a ketchup-filled farewell, and he's going to hang with the brand new potatoes that we got. And I'm going to leave you with our usual outro music, courtesy of, no, I have to find it here. Oh, courtesy of Dave J. I really should give him more credit when we play this, who created this theme song and Gone By.
Dave's gone by. Dave's gone by. Dave's gone by. Dave's gone by. Dave's gone by.
And there goes the Daverhood. Thanks so much. We'll see you on February 8th, 9 to noon Eastern Time, with the 732nd edition of Dave's Gone